roll call to my left.
Marla Canfield, City Council Member.
Tim Brunson, City Council Member.
Jody O'Katy, City Council Member.
Ronnie Price, Mayor.
Tim Berry, City Council Member.
Homer, City Council Member.
Buck Buchanan, Police Chief.
Rick Lyons, Director of Public Works and Utilities.
Kevin Graham, City Engineer.
Julie Boyd, Planning and Zoning Administrator.
Chad Russell, Fire Chief.
Matt Kane, Director of Finance.
JT Klaus, City Attorney.
Dana Engstrom, City.
Les Mangus, Director of Community Development.
Jolene Graham, Assistant City Administrator.
Jennifer McCausland, City Administrator.
All right, at this time, Eric Goodman with Central Point Church is going to lead us in invocation. How you doing, sir?
Doing well, thank you. Let's pray. Dear Lord and gracious Heavenly Father, we just come to you this evening, Lord, asking for wisdom for the city council, Lord, and for the mayor, Lord, that they might make the right decisions tonight and that you would guide their thoughts, Lord, and pray for this meeting tonight and that you would be glorified through everything that's said and done, and that we would be as wise as serpents and harmless as doves, Lord. And just thank you for who you are. And Lord, we praise you tonight for your glory, Lord. We ask you to bless this meeting tonight. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. At this time, if you would join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. At this time, I'll open the floor to a public forum. If you'd like to address the governing body, feel free to do so. Keep it at 3 minutes. Go ahead, young lady.
Thank you. I'll just go ahead and I just wanted to greet everyone. Well, I wanted to greet you. I'm Susan Humphreys. I'm the state representative for Andover and the far east part of Wichita. I try to come to the city council meetings on occasion when I can make it. Just happened to be able to make this one. I had no idea that it was going to be something where I was going to hear a lot of things I need to hear too. So I've got my notepad. I'll be taking notes from everyone. But the other reason I came was yesterday was one of my granddaughters turned 3. They live on the west side, 119th Street West. But she wanted to come to the firemen's playground at our fire station just south of Kellogg because she loves it. And our fire chief came out and talked to her. And I just want to say that was a great park. People from all over coming. Thank you so much for that. And just, I'd love to hear from constituents, and I will hear tonight, I suppose. Thank you so much that I could be here.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Janie Burton, and I actually have some photos that I would like to share with the city council members and the mayor. Can I pass them out, or shall I? We have a petition that we have passed around in our bicentennial neighborhood, and I'd like to read that if I may. Good evening, members of the city council, mayor, and other city officials. I'm Janie Burton, and I've lived in the bicentennial edition for 38 years. I'd like to read the petition that has been set before you, and I believe you are all emailed copies of that, was our understanding. We, the undersigned residents, taxpayers, and business owners of Andover, Kansas, petition the City Council to immediately address the severe disrepair and safety hazards present in Bicentennial Edition. Whereas the current state of the roads has deteriorated significantly, creating ongoing safety hazards and severe daily inconveniences for everyone, motorists, cyclists, and pedestrians navigating our community and affecting the quality of life for our residents. Specifically, the low-quality gravel that is rarely added or maintained, severe dust levels creating air pollution, deep potholes, low-hanging tree branches, a total lack of visible lane markings, and poor drainage that causes flooding during rainstorms due to a lack of drainage ditch maintenance. Whereas these conditions actively compromise public safety. Drivers are regularly forced to swerve into oncoming traffic to avoid obstacles, and neighbors cannot open windows or sit outside due to the levels of fine dust in the air. Furthermore, this road serves as a vital route for school buses, making its safe maintenance crucial to the broader community. Whereas the current well water supply and quality affect neighbors to varying degrees. Some neighbors are lacking water periodically, likely due to increased use of the aquifer by new residential and commercial water users, while most have extremely high mineralization affecting hardness and plumbing equipment. While we greatly appreciate the council's ongoing efforts to manage our city's infrastructure, the structural integrity of this Andover neighborhood requires prioritized attention before a serious accident occurs and the health of the residents is further compromised. We understand the city manages competing infrastructure projects, but addressing this neighborhood would greatly enhance the quality of life and safety of the 87 households in our immediate area. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the undersigned, call upon the City Council to take immediate and decisive action by, 1, instruct the Department of Public Works to conduct a formal assessment of this site to schedule necessary resurfacing and drainage repairs in the upcoming budgetary cycle, allocating the necessary municipal funding to completely reconstruct these roads and drainage ditches and improve water quality and supply, assess the water supply and quality issues while understanding the variances throughout the neighborhood. We've attached our petition signed by our neighbors who also support this request, along with photographs documenting the road and drainage ditches'
Your
current
time has
conditions.
expired.
Thank you.
Mm.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, and city staff. My name's Ann Cummings, and I reside at 116 South Monticello Drive. While I recently moved to this address in February of 25, my family roots in Andover run deep, spanning over 5 decades since 1972. I am here tonight because the Bicentennial Edition neighborhood has been fundamentally neglected by the city of Andover. When this area was annexed in 2019, residents were given clear promises regarding infrastructure, water, and road maintenance. 7 years later, those promises remain completely unfulfilled. We pay city taxes, yet we receive zero city care. The conditions on Monticello Drive and other roads in my neighborhood are unacceptable and hazardous. These are not functioning gravel roads. There is constantly a hazardous layer of fine powder. In the Kansas wind, the dust is so severe that it creates air particulate levels that threaten our health. We cannot open our windows, sit on our porches, walk our dogs, or enjoy our properties. When it rains, this powder turns into a treacherous mud slick. Compounding this is a total failure of the drainage ditch system. Because the city neglects routine mowing, tree trimming, and ditch and culvert maintenance, stormwater has nowhere to go. My yard floods, my neighbors' yards flood, and water actively breaches residents' homes. Many of the corner culverts and the sides of the roads are hazardous for residents and public safety. When I called road maintenance to report this, I spoke with Rick 3 separate times. Instead of any solutions, I was met with hollow explanations and defensiveness. Our neighborhood's valid complaints are systematically brushed aside. A nearby Andover subdivision, Lakeview Heights, is an example of what Bicentennial Edition could look like with the proper improvements. My neighbors and I refused to stay silent. We walked our streets and started a petition that 42 neighbors signed. The consensus is unanimous. The Bicentennial Edition is being ignored. Tonight, we are formally entering this petition into the official city record. We are not asking for special treatment. We are demanding the basic infrastructure and maintenance that we pay for with our tax dollars. We request 3 immediate actions from this council tonight. First, a formal timeline for Public Works to inspect and clear our drainage system. Second, an immediate application of dust control on Bicentennial roads. Third, we invite our city council members to visit our neighborhood this week to see these conditions firsthand. Whenever my neighbors bring their concerns to the city, they feel invisible. Tonight, we ask that this council prove them wrong. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else? Oh. For Bicentennial, I'm sorry.
Good evening. I'm Pam Nash. I live at 1305 East Douglas within the Bicentennial Edition. But I'm here tonight to read a letter for Kyle and Jessica Nielsen, who could not be here this evening. They live at 1109 East Betsy Ross within the Bicentennial Edition. My husband has lived here with his daughter since 2014. When I married him in 2024 and moved here to Kansas, the neighborhood roads and drainage systems were the most shocking. Naturally, as a new wife, I started to clean and organize and repair the home. I found my once-a-month dusting became a daily chore. I'm still shocked that my husband has not experienced any breathing issues, and not shocked when my very own elderly neighbors gave their house they were planning to retire into to their daughter and her 2 young children. I have always had a car throughout my life, but never have I gone through so many tires. As a once nice dirt road has become a road with abrasive rocks. These things add up in time and money that we do not have. A blacktop road of some kind would be greatly appreciated and help our lives. Seeing all the new construction booming and all around us once in this once nostalgic small town is already hard enough. Why build more when there are previous responsibilities that are owed to us who came before them? Why does the trailer park have nice roads and we do not? I realized that the neighborhood was annexed in and it was voted to not do the roads and that the price seemed too high at the time, but we feel people would be open to the affordable resolution of black asphalt roads and curbs being put in. In the spring of 2025, I witnessed a school bus full of children almost tip over. The water had filled the ditch and was level with the road, where the road ended and the ditch began. It's clearly the problem that this poor bus driver had, and I understand that. I myself avoid that corner when coming and going. Please help. Thank you.
Anyone else from Bicentennial? No? All right. Onward and upward. Anyone else want to speak at public forum?
You may want to remind them that.
So, Mr. Wimmer, we will have a opportunity for Crescent Lakes to speak during the PUD. Is that what you're?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank
Absolutely.
you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. No one else for the public forum. Yep. This governing body passed a deal about 4 years ago, which I rejected wholeheartedly, but it got voted for unanimously to help Bicentennial with their neighborhood. That's how we helped Lakeview Heights. So I just want to be very clear on that. And city council has been out there. Your mayor drove through there last week and was addressed by a lady that was very combative. So just to keep that on the record. So that's just not a true statement, and I reject it. All right? All right. I normally don't do that, but you can't say stuff that's just not true. All right? All right, onward and upward. Acceptance of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. All opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. 7, on a lighter note, milestone awards. And Becky is going to, you're not Becky.
No, not tonight. It's Bud. Tag team. Appreciate that, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we're going to be given 4 milestone awards, 2 for the Communication Division and 2 for the Police Department. we were just grateful when we saw the turnout, thinking, well, everybody's coming to celebrate these folks as well. So we appreciate everybody coming out for this. And these are very well deserved. So we're going to do a little bit of tag teaming a little bit. We're not going to go too long. I can promise you that. So Becky's going to start with the two comm folks. I'll finish up with one of those, and then we'll get into the police department. So Becky. I know.
Good evening. I would like to welcome Coulter Henry up here with me. Coulter is a communication officer 2 who was hired with the communications division of the police department in April of 2021. He successfully completed the communications training program in June 26 of 21, and on April 16th of 26, he was promoted to communications officer 2 after meeting department's performance training and tenure requirements. During the past 5 years, Coulter has become an invaluable member of the emergency communications section. As a senior communication officer assigned to the power shift, he provides critical staffing during the department's busiest call volume periods and serves as a trusted resource for communication officers, patrol officers, and supervisors. In addition to his dispatching responsibilities, Coulter serves as the department's social media strategist, communications training officer, and NCIC validation coordinator. He has completed validations on more than 2,000 NCIC records while maintaining a flawless record of no entries purged for missed validation deadlines, demonstrating exceptional attention to detail and commitment to compliance. Coulter consistently provides outstanding customer service and professionalism. Through the department's quality assurance program and the community outreach program, watch commanders routinely review random selected calls for service to ensure, to evaluate communications performance. During the 5 years with the department, Coulter has received more than 50 ratings of excellent or good, which are the 2 highest ratings that you can get on his services in the communications center. Coulter routinely mentors new communication officers and looks for opportunities to improve the division. After he recognized some inconsistencies in how warrants were being entered into NCIC, he independently developed a step-by-step warrant entry guide and a reusable laminated check sheets, providing dispatchers with an effective training tool that improved consistency, accuracy, and efficiency. Over the past 5 years, I have watched Coulter grow from a newly hired communications officer to a respected leader within the division. He willingly adjusts his schedule to cover staffing shortages and volunteers before even being asked. He has earned the respect of his watch commanders, fellow communication officers, patrol personnel through his professionalism, technical knowledge, and calm performance under pressure. Thank you, Coulter. For the past 5 years of dedicated service to the Andover Police Department, your commitment, leadership, and professionalism has made a lasting impact on our organization, and I look forward to seeing you continue in your success years to come.
Thank you for your service, Coulter.
Thank you.
So we have another milestone award to give out tonight. This is for our records and evidence custodian, Kelly Galloway, who is celebrating 20 years of dedicated service. Kelly, will you come join me? Don't mess with Kelly. Kelly joined the department's communications division in April of 2006, bringing with her extensive public safety communication experience from previous roles with Coffee County Sheriff's Department, Garrett Police Department, Butler County Emergency Communications Center, and the Augusta Department of Safety, spanning from 1993 to 2006 when she joined us. Kelly was initially hired as a communications supervisor, where she provided leadership to support the Emergency Communications Center until March 2014. Following the city's reorganization that separated a combined IT director and 911 director responsibilities into two distinct positions, Kelly transitioned into the role of records and evidence custodian. Kelly was already doing the records side of that. We added the evidence custodian to her job title. For the past 12 years, Kelly has excelled in managing the department's record and evidence operations, ensuring accuracy, accountability, and compliance with the state and federal requirements. Her position is one of the most critical and demanding civilian roles within the department. Each day, Kelly worked closely with the Butler County District Attorney's Office, District Court, Municipal Court, and numerous outside agencies requesting official records and officer body and vehicle camera footage. Kelly's position is very unique. She has to review every incident or case that the Andover Police Department officers pull every year. And in just the past 5 years, she has reviewed more than 11,000 incident reports. Kelly is responsible for maintaining the security and accountability and chain of custody for every item in the property and evidence room as well, from the time that it is submitted until final disposition, whether that be returned to an owner, destroyed, multiple different ways that we can do that. I'm not sure of the number of property and evidence items we have, but it's a lot. Yeah. Beyond her primary responsibilities, Kelly continues to help out in communications as either a communication officer working a shift or a communication training officer as needed. I'm not going to read that part, sorry. Kelly was a vital role whenever we built our new CAD and RMS system, started in 2024 and went live in 2025. Kelly and I worked endlessly, making sure everything was going to run correctly through all three systems. And she continues to update state statutes as they change and help officers if they have problems. I've had the honor of working with Kelly for the past 12 years. When I began my journey with the city as the first standalone 911 director in January of 2015, Kelly became an invaluable source of guidance for me. Her institutional knowledge and peer support helped me learn the first few years, and honestly, even through today, on how I needed to navigate the complexities of our technology supports, or technology systems and processes, while continuing to complete her job tasks as well. I could not have asked for a better teammate or mentor during my time here. Kelly's dedication to the community has been recognized throughout her career, including being named Civilian Employee of the Year in 2009, 2019, and 2021, as well as receiving Good Conduct Awards 4 times since April of 2024. Kelly, we proudly would like to recognize you for your 20 years of exceptional service, dedication, and commitment. Your knowledge and professionalism and willingness to support in every area of the department has made a lasting impact on our organization and the community we serve. Thank you for your continued service, an important role you play for the success of the Andover Police Department.
So to add to this, because normally we would bring someone on a 20-year service, we do something different in where they come in and from the police department, they have a wreath of honor. What we have done with that, there's been 6 in the history of Andover that have been awarded this. So our award that we have for the bronze wreath meritorious service, I should say, goes to Kelly as well. She's had 20 years here. And it's neat to see this because I noticed someone in the audience is our old supervisor here as well, Bill Dugan, who was one of the first recipients of that for giving 20 years dedicated to the Andover Police Department. And again, this is number 6 we've had on the department. And then tonight you'll see another one. So it's kind of 2 tonight. Is a blessing to be able to serve that and do that. So tonight we also give Kelly her Bronze Wreath of Meritorious Service, which is a certificate. We do have a sign for her. It's not here tonight, but we will get her sign. I don't remember what it says on Kelly's way, because usually that's usually what it is. It's the Kelly's way. But
That's just the way it is.
but we do appreciate you. That's right. Hey, you want to sing? Sure. Man.
Thank you, Kelly. We've been very lucky to have you.
Start the timer. Hello, Council Mayor. I'm Ben Graber. I'm one of the patrol captains, and I want to have Frank Gomez come up here. Everybody's here for you. So Frank Gomez is celebrating 5 years of service. He started with the Andover Police Department. Actually, both Tom and Becky had printed off notes, and their notes are really big. I printed mine normal, but I need my glasses. So Frank started with us on June 1st, 2021, came to us as a certified officer, so he immediately began his field training, began working, and you might have to correct me if I'm wrong, began working at Washburn College Police Department, went to Butler Community College, then Eastboro, and then he eventually realized that Andover is the way to go, and so he joined our department. Frank worked as a patrol officer up until his promotion to sergeant in November of 2022. As a sergeant, he was a watch commander when his lieutenant was gone, assisted on the shift. He helped officers with cases and helped his lieutenant get all his normal duties done. He was then promoted. Well, with him being a sergeant, he was starting to see and shape his career as a supervisor. He got to see his leadership skills. He had a supervisor that helped him fine-tune his leadership skills. Then on May 11, 2025, he was promoted to lieutenant and took over a patrol shift. He also serves as one of our TASER instructors and one of our drone pilots. Frank has a creative mind and is always coming up with new ideas for the department. Several years ago, Chief put out a request to come up with a new design for our patches, and Frank was on the committee, and I think it was Frank's idea to come up with these new patches that were updated after many, many years. Frank has also come up with a design for a director coin, which Becky Day is using for her people. Chief has a coin, and so Becky's going to have one for her people when they do something good. She's going to give it out to them. So Frank has been a part of that, coming up with that design. Frank leads his crew with integrity and compassion. Shortly after being promoted to lieutenant, he had a crew that had, I think all of them had less than 2 years experience. He had a very new crew. You put a brand new lieutenant with a brand new officers. It can be a little difficult at times. He's got to learn his job and then keep them motivated and going. And he still has a majority of that crew and has been able to teach them over the last several years of what he expects and what he wants, and helps build them to become new officers. And he's done an outstanding job. So, yeah, we want to thank him. Last thing I want to say is if anybody wants to know anything about Ford Rangers, please get with Frank. I don't know why that stuck with me when he first started. He kept talking to me about Ford Rangers. I'm like, I don't care about Ford Rangers, but he loves Ford Rangers. So if you want to talk about Ford Rangers, so congratulations on 5 years. We hope to see you in 15 more for your next meritorious award.
Ms. Gomez, would you like to come closer and take pictures? You come in and take a picture. Hold on, wife's coming.
Don't leave yet.
That's an assumption. I'm assuming that's the next thing.
Oh, Chief, get in there.
Come on, Chief.
Thank you, Frank.
All right, Tom is going to talk about this next character.
Got a long walk.
Lance Parker. Yeah, Lance Parker. To the front, please.
Guess you don't have to, but
You would
evening,
make your
Mayor.
students do it, right?
yeah, you make the kids do it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight I have the privilege of recognizing SRO Lance Parker for 20 years of service with the city of Andover. I could list everything that Lance has done in his career, like Ben and Becky did, but we'd be here all night. So I'm just going to hit a few of the highlights here. So 20 years in law enforcement reflects more than time on the job. It reflects commitment, resilience, and a true dedication to serving others. Over the course of his career, Lance has served this community with professionalism, integrity, and compassion. During the past 20 years, SRO Parker has served in multiple roles, including as a patrol officer and patrol supervisor. He served as the traffic safety coordinator and was instrumental in helping the department earn multiple platinum community safety traffic awards. SRO Parker is most proud of the work he has done and the difference he has made as a school resource officer. And he served in that role for 12 years. This will be his 13th school year starting next month. Our SRO program would not be where it is today without Lance's contributions. He has done far more than help maintain safety and security in our schools. He has built relationships with students, staffs, family, and helped create an environment where students can learn and grow while feeling safe and supported. Lance often becomes a mentor, role model, and steady adult influence in the lives of young people, and that kind of service can make a lasting difference well beyond the school day. Lance has represented our department well in that role and contributing meaningfully to both our schools and our community. We're grateful for SRO Parker's service, and we thank him for it. But just as importantly, his family, and some of them are here today, but Stacy, Aaron, Austin, and Colby, for the support that makes a career of public service possible. Please join me in congratulating SRO Lance Parker on 20 years of dedicated service.
So obviously, in addition to this, we kind of mentioned with Kelly, but the same with Lance. These aren't given out lightly, over 30 years, and this is the 7th person to receive this award. So yeah, pretty impressive to receive that. So he gets actually to wear on his uniform a wreath. Kind of hard for Kelly to do that. That's why she doesn't get one, or her blouses may look a little weird. You know, and it's kind of weird with Lance too. I mean, 12 years in the high schools, you'd think he'd graduate and go into college now. Just loves it that much.
One here in the middle school.
That's right, in middle school. Anything you'd like to say?
It's been a fun ride. So yeah, and still got more to come. So I like this SRO role. You know, even though I've been on both sides, it's kind of hard to say. My wife is from the north side, although I'm on the south side right now. Just go Jags.
Oh. All right. Consent agenda 8.1 to 8.5.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve consent agenda items 8.1 through 8.5 as presented.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. 9.1, resolution relating to the exercise of Vornado Air LLC option to purchase facility. And JT is going to talk to us tonight.
Mr. Mayor and council members, the city of Andover issued taxable industrial revenue bonds for additions to the Vornado Air facility in 2019 and in 2020. Pursuant to their IRB lease, they have the right to exercise their option to purchase the facility outright. and pay off their bonds early, they have exercised that option. And this is the typical resolution that approves the termination of the lease and the termination of the bonds and the prepayment thereof. This is just like the payoffs that you normally consider, but I'd be delighted to answer any questions you have about it.
Anyone?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move we adopt the resolution approving the sale of Vornado Air LLC of certain facilities financed in part of the proceeds of revenue bonds of the city, which resolution approves the call and the early redemption of said revenue bonds and authorize the execution of delivery and a special warrant deed, a bill of sale, a termination and release of lease, and a satisfaction discharge and release of indenture. Man, that's a
Second.
word.
Make it a second.
Yeah, Homer.
Homer.
second.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I sleep the wheel.
It's all right.
You're fine.
Yeah, any further questions or discussion? All in favor say yes.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. All right. Special use, case number Z-SU 26-0002. This is an application requesting to allow an intermediate care facility in the MXR multifamily mixed residential use district on property generally located at 224 East Central Avenue, Andover, Kansas. Before we proceed with the hearing, I'll ask council if any of them intend to disqualify themselves from participating in this case because they have a conflict of interest.
No.
No.
No. I will now ask council if they have received any ex parte verbal or written communication prior to this agenda item they would like to share.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I received a hand-delivered letter to my office from Councilman Gallagher, and I have also received emails from citizens in favor and against of this item.
Okay.
I have also, Mr. Mayor, received several text messages, phone calls, and/or emails from citizens mainly opposed of the facility or the zoning change.
I have as well. I think all the city council has received the emails and I know I've read every one of them. So, Homer?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I've received texts and emails as well.
Concur. Yes, Mr. Mayor. I've also received said emails, messages primarily opposing this.
Has the city clerk received any protest? Oh, I'm sorry, Marla. I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
I've received all the emails as well.
Forgive me. I will now ask, back up. Has the city clerk received any protest petitions on the case?
No, sir.
I now ask city council members if they have all received copies of the draft minutes of Planning Commission for June 16, 2026, which summarizes the hearing on the case.
Yes.
Yes. I now call on city zoning administrator to provide us with a report on this case.
Mayor and council, here we have got an application for a special use to permit an intermediate care facility in what was previously the Victoria Falls Skilled Nursing Facility, that facility did receive a special use for exactly the same use, a intermediate care facility, back in March of 2024. So why are you hearing it again? Let me give you some history. So the Planning Commission held their first hearing back in January 16th of 2024. Then the governing body at that time heard that case with the Planning Commission's recommendation on February 13th, 2024. At that point, the governing body chose to send the case back to the Planning Commission for further consideration on several of their required findings of fact. Planning Commission did so on February 20th, 2024, and they once again unanimously recommended approval of the special use to the governing body. Governing body took that up again on February the 27th, 2024, and it was approved unanimously at that meeting. The way that this works is that once a special use is approved, like a zoning case, it goes into effect when the effectuating ordinance is published. So in that case, it was March the 2nd, 2024. And from then on, the applicant, the property owner, has a year to kind of act on it. In this case, getting a certificate of occupancy using the use that they've applied for. Otherwise, it expires. And that is what happened. We heard nothing from them for a year, and the special use quietly expired on this property. After some time passed, it seems that a new owner is revitalizing the attempts to reopen this facility for intermediate care. And so they have had to go back through the process to get their special use. The new ownership has received the unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission, and they have also received their state licensure requirements ahead of this meeting. I note in my staff report that there were some outstanding site plan requirements. I was actually out there just this morning to perform an inspection, and it looks like all the exterior landscaping and everything is in place. So I can report that that is all taken care of and good to go.
All right. Anyone have any questions? So to be clear, this has been approved before unanimously by the governing body.
That's correct. This exact thing.
For the same use.
If they had not let it lapse, that special use would still be in effect.
Mr. Mayor, if I may clarify there, a previous governing body approved, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Just clarifying for the record. Thank you.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Julie?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I do have a couple questions, Julie, in regards to what was the previous capacity of Victoria Falls Skilled Nursing?
So the certificate of occupancy that they had gave a maximum occupancy load of 321 persons in the building. There are 60 residential units in there, so like 60 beds, but 321 total people is what the fire code says can be in there.
As far as this one, are they going with the 60 then beds facility, or
60
does it max out?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
that's how many rooms there are for people, basically, suites.
And I don't know if everyone heard you. If Victoria Falls was to open again, or a new skilled nursing was to open again, it would need a special use permit as well for this zoning case.
Right, under this zoning district, I can show it up there. There we go. Under the zoning district that this property bears, they would have to get a special use to reopen as a skilled nursing facility, which is what there was before COVID. But that was before this iteration of the zoning regulations.
Thank you.
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
if I can ask- Julie, currently the special use is for the LifeSpring Recovery, this owner. If they decide to sell it, does this special use move with new owners?
It stays with the property,
Okay.
but it has to be acted on by whatever ownership within a year.
Okay.
Anyone else?
And,
sorry.
sorry. And then if they sell the property, I mean, that the special use continues, it's indefinite. We never, they don't have to come back every year.
If it is, they don't have to come back to get it brought back, but if they closed, for example, then it could expire if they weren't using it.
But the special use follows no matter who owns the property.
As long as they have a valid certificate of occupancy, the special use is valid until that is revoked, basically.
No, I'm good. Thank you, sir.
All right. Anyone else? Have any written communications been received by the city clerk?
Yes, I've received 21 written communications that have been distributed to the governing body and made available to the public in the packet this evening. One was received after the posting of the agenda and has been provided to the governing body at the bench.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to present any new information? Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Jason Griever. I live at 607 Hart Drive in Newton, Kansas. And I am the executive director of LifeSpring Recovery of Andover. And I'm joined by some of my colleagues. I have Paige Bottom, who's the vice president of operations for Ascension Recovery Services. Paige has about over 20 years of behavioral health care management experience and executive leadership experience in behavioral health care. And Nick Motu, who's the vice president of strategic relationships, is also with us. Nick has over 30 years of experience, including being the CMO and chief of external affairs at Hazel and Betty Ford. clinic. So glad to have them with us, as well as Morgan Henson, who is a senior director with Ascension Recovery Services. And as I said, I'm Jason Griever. I'm a licensed specialist clinical social worker in Kansas, and I'm a licensed clinical addiction counselor. I've worked for about the last 15 years in behavioral health care in Kansas. And during that time, I've had the opportunity to be in just about every behavioral health care clinic in the state. And so I'm very excited to be part of LifeSpring Recovery of Andover. And I can tell you that it is the nicest behavioral health care facility in the state of Kansas. And I don't say that just because I work there. I work there because that's true. I took a tour of the facility and recognized what a special place LifeSpring of Recovery of Andover is. And I'm proud to be part of that. In addition to bringing the nicest private behavioral health care facility to Andover, we would also be bringing about 45 full-time jobs to the city. And the reason why is that there's a need in this area. The Butler County Community Health Needs Assessment in 2025 had some findings that have led to this location being selected. Mental and behavioral health was identified as a #1 community health issue by 63% of respondents in Butler County. Mental health and substance use services were the most difficult healthcare services to access. 72% of respondents indicated substance use services were hard to obtain, and the Community Health Needs Assessment directly identifies behavioral health and substance use disorder access barriers as a primary regional gap. And so LifeSpring Recovery of Andover exists to address that gap. So I'd like to talk a little bit about who it is that we will be serving at LifeSpring Recovery of Andover if we are granted the special use permit. There are different types of treatment facilities throughout the state, and there are some great partners statewide who serve criminal justice populations, who serve indigent populations, who work with homeless populations, and we're very grateful for those, and I've had the opportunity to work for some of those organizations. That is not who LifeSpring Recovery serves. In the world of behavioral healthcare, there's kind of this reverse sort of access issue, and that is that the indigent populations, criminal justice populations have access to a great deal of behavioral health care service options statewide. For individuals who are employed, who have commercial or private healthcare insurance, or who have the ability to privately pay for treatment, there are very few options in the state. And that is the individuals that we are expanding access to be able to serve. We screen all individuals who come into our services based on a number of things, including any criminal history. Are they members of any sort of registry? Are they medically appropriate to come into a behavioral health care facility? In other words, do they have any significant medical issues that would come up that might result in them not being able to successfully complete 30 days within our facility? We do not serve individuals who are funded through the block grant program, which is the state's funding that is available for individuals who are uninsured and are at or below 200% of the federal poverty guidelines. So again, our target population is folks like the folks of Andover who are hardworking folks with insurance policies or the ability to pay privately to come into treatment. So what we're not a methadone clinic. We're not an outpatient clinic. We are not a homeless shelter. We are not a correctional placement residence. We are a private healthcare facility providing behavioral healthcare services. So our residents will spend about 30 days with us. During that time, they will be at our facility the entire time. They won't leave our facility unless they have a need to enter the community to attend a medical appointment for any medical needs that could not be met by our medical staff. We are staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by nurses, as well as providers, including nurse practitioners and a medical doctor. If an individual were to leave our facility during their 30 days, then they would be escorted by our staff and transported by our staff to wherever it was that they were going and then back to our facility safely. The folks who come into our program are scheduled to come in well in advance. So they go through the screening process and an admission date is set. And so it's a well-planned and coordinated admission into our program. And our discharges are the same way. So after the 30 days, then there is a discharge plan for ongoing care at other providers. We only provide the residential services. We don't provide the outpatient services. So we connect folks with providers in this community or in whatever community they're from so that they can continue to receive ongoing care. If someone were to decide that they wanted to leave before the 30 days, then there's that same sort of diligence. Then they meet with our medical team, they meet with their therapist, they meet with our case managers, and come up with the plan that will be appropriate for them to leave the facility at that time. When folks do discharge, then they will leave in the same way that they came, and usually that's from family members or loved ones or friends who bring them into our services, and then those same folks come to pick them up. There are best practices at behavioral healthcare facilities, and we follow those best practices. And a lot of those have to do with the security of the facility. So our facility has cameras that show the interior of the building, just about any common area and hallway, so that we know where our patients are at all times. If our patients do go outside, then they're accompanied by staff. We do have a designated smoking area, and those of you who are familiar with the area know that there's a fence line that separates us from the strip mall that's right there, and that has been designated as a smoking area for the patients who will be with us. When they do go out to smoke, then they are accompanied by staff and then accompanied back inside the building. Our behavioral health technicians monitor clients or patients at all times and do a check-in every hour with each patient to ensure that they're healthy and well and that we know where everybody is who's supposed to be in our building. We do perimeter checks so that we know that there aren't people outside of the building who aren't supposed to be there. Once a week, our patients have visitation from family and friends, and that's on Saturdays. Our visitors are screened, just like our patients are, for appropriateness to be able to come visit the facility, make sure that they are clean and sober individuals who are going to be supportive of the folks that we're serving. Our staffing during the day, when we have all of our staff there, which includes our therapists and our behavioral health care technicians, our nurses, our nurse practitioners, dietary department, housekeeping, then it's about a ratio of 3-to-1 staff to clients. We are staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by behavioral health care technicians who are trained in kind of managing patient populations and ensuring that needs are met and everybody's safe, as well as nurses 24 hours a day. We have controlled access to our building so that no one is able to enter the building unless they are admitted by our staff. Our doors are alarmed so that no one exits our building without us being aware that someone is leaving. Let's see. Regarding traffic, we've had the opportunity to read some of the emails that were sent in, and we're grateful to know what the community concerns are, because those are the same kinds of concerns that most communities have whenever a behavioral health care facility enters into that community. So we're grateful for the opportunity to address those. And one of the things that was brought up was traffic. And what will the flow of traffic be like? The flow of traffic will be like it was with Victoria Falls. We will have staff who come and go for their different work shifts. As I said, once a week, we will have visitation. Otherwise, it will just be staff and then those visitors who are coming and going, other than the admission and then the discharge about 30 days apart. Emergency service utilization was a concern that has been raised. We're fortunate to have 24-hour nursing, and so most medical issues are able to be handled within our facility. Likewise, our screening that we do beforehand limits the number of medical incidents that we could encounter. When we look at programs similar to ours, and the ones that are most similar would be like Bel Air Recovery Center in Bel Air and Holland Pathways in Wichita, who have a similar patient demographic that we serve. There are about 3 to 4 emergency service calls a week. I'm sorry, a month. And there are some months when there are no emergency service calls. I use the LexisNexis crime map in Wichita to look at how many law enforcement calls there were to those facilities. At Holland Pathways, over the past year, there were 6 law enforcement calls. 2 were for non-fatal overdose. At Cherry Creek Treatment Center in Wichita, there have been 6 law enforcement calls in the past year. They serve adolescents there, which is not something we will do. And so 2 of those law enforcement calls were for adolescents who decided to leave treatment. And then 1 of them was for a non-fatal overdose. And then in the at Broadmoor, there has been 1 law enforcement call, and that facility is located next to a daycare. I had the privilege of getting to play a role in opening that facility, which has been a great resource to the community of Wichita. What we are proposing to bring to Andover as far as the use of the land is very similar to what Victoria Falls was offering. Instead of treating a geriatric population, we'll be treating individuals with a behavioral health care disorder or a substance use disorder. They'll be there for 30 days. They'll be receiving medical care, case management, and therapy services. There was a question raised, and it's a very fair question, about why we have signage outside of our building and why we had a ribbon cutting ceremony. And that's a very fair thing to bring up. We were not aware when we acquired the property from the previous owner that the special use permit was not valid. And so we had planned with the Andover Chamber of Commerce to have the ribbon cutting. We'd invited some state representatives in, hired catering, all of those great things, and then found out a very, very short time before that scheduled date that that special use permit needed to be issued again. And based kind of on the history of going to the Planning Commission unanimously a couple of times and through the previous governing body successfully, we went ahead and hosted the ribbon cutting kind of in good faith that we will be viewed as a great community partner, and will receive the special use permit again. I love what I do. I love the work that I do. I love getting to watch individuals who have run into challenges in their lives overcome those challenges. And it's really important to me as a professional in the field of behavioral health care to be a great community member and a great neighbor. And so I will be the personal contact for the facility for any issues that were to arise. On my business card, and I brought plenty of them for anybody who may be interested in them this evening, my personal cell phone number is listed on there. So if there ever was an issue with our facility, then I would invite and hope that someone would contact me so that it could be immediately addressed. So, with that, I would like to invite Morgan Hansen, who's a senior director with Ascension Recovery Services, to speak.
Hello, good evening. My name is Morgan Henson. I'm a senior director at Ascension Recovery Services. Ascension Recovery Services is a behavioral health management group. So what we do is we help to develop and operate behavioral health treatment programs across the country. We've been doing that now for about 10 years and have developed and or operated programs in over 25 states. Quality is the most important thing whenever it comes to operating our programs. most every state requires their programs to be licensed by, some type of licensing board there in that state, but we take it an extra step and we get nationally accredited on top of that by the Joint Commission. We actually recently just had our triannual survey last week. And a triannual survey is kind of like the top tier outcome that you could have for a Joint Commission survey. That means that they will come back every 3 years to survey you, which is, what we want. So we just were awarded that as an organization last week, which, we take a lot of pride in making sure that our facilities are the best of the best because we're treating people, people that need us and people that want help and that want to recover. And so I think that that is something that, is really important to mention is, at the end of it, people are coming here because they have a treatable disease and they're seeking help for it in a very structured place that can provide that support for them. So, it's one of those things that, I've sat through a lot of these meetings fighting for programs to be allowed to operate and open in communities. The unfortunate part of it is that, the stigma is still more powerful than, the hope that people can recover. But, I look at it as, I get to stand up here and fight for more access for care in the community. So, we're very grateful and that's why we continue to do this. As Jason mentioned, and I think it's very important, is the type of clients that will be coming to our program. He mentioned admission criteria. That is something that, we go through a questionnaire with everyone. What were you using? Do you have any mental health background? All the questions that make sure that they are safe and appropriate for our level of care. And if they are not, we have plenty of resources where we can work with the community to refer them to the place that they need to go or that's most appropriate for them. So, safety is our number one priority. We know, Jason mentioned, the security cameras. We also, rounding, he mentioned getting eyes on patients, at different increments. That's something that we take very, very seriously. Is the safety of our clients and the community around them. One of the things that I see is like I said, I've sat through a lot of these meetings and afterwards, if it, gets approved, the facility opens, people usually forget that the facility is even there. Or they will read about us because we are out in the community doing community service somewhere or, getting involved in wherever we can to, make the community better because that's what we want to teach. We want to teach, how to live a successful and productive life outside of the walls of treatment. And we can only do that by showing them what that looks like while they are in there. So, it's this substance use is one of those things, everyone in this room, there's a lot of people in this room. And so there's a very, very good chance that at least someone in here, has been impacted by addiction in one way or another through family, spouse, loved one, or even themselves personally. It's just something that we can't ignore. And, so really glad that, we can show up and just provide more care for the community. And like Jason said too, he mentioned giving his number out to anyone. I'm also going to offer to do the same because we have programs in several other states and communities where we've sat through very similar meetings and, I'm even happy to provide, contacts to neighbors and other communities that have, experience the type of neighbor that we are in the community and the positive, just what we can bring. So that is what I will urge is, if anyone is interested in learning more about programs we operate in other states, I would be happy to get you in touch with, those people so you could hear more about the quality programs that we operate. So thank you again, and really hope we can get this passed. Thank you.
Are there any questions to the applicant from city members or city staff, council members, I'm sorry?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Jason, who's the medical director? Are they going to be local to Andover, Wichita area?
Yeah, so Dr. Will Cook is the medical director, and he is licensed in the state of Kansas. He is not local to Kansas. However, we have nurse practitioners, providers who will be present at the facility 7 days a week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have a chaplain available for the folks in the treatment center?
So what we don't have a chaplain on staff, but what we really hope is to be able to partner with community partners who provide those sorts of spiritual services and other recovery services, invite them into the facility so that they can provide that. And speaking of invitation, I should have said that I would like to invite everyone here to our facility. I think if you had the opportunity to come in and see what was Victoria Falls and the $500,000 in renovations that have been done to the building, you would see really what kind of facility we offer.
Okay. Anyone else?
I have a couple questions, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Jason, do you office out of that location?
I do.
So you'll be there pretty much office hours and standard business hours?
I was there at 6:45 this morning.
What are your age limits for this? I mean, you said you don't handle kids, so is that 18 plus?
Correct. 18 plus, yes.
Okay. And then the number of beds, there's a lot of numbers being thrown around from 60 to, you have a license to 80. On your website, it says 80 beds. What is it?
So we're licensed for 80. It is unlikely that we will ever have 80 patients in the building. What we aim for is somewhere between 60, 65 patients.
Okay. Also, I noticed, I had a couple emails ask me that there's been some conflicting information about your licensing. It states you're working on state accreditation, and then some of them say you have state accreditation, state licensing. So do you have your state license for this?
We do. We're licensed by the Kansas Department of Aging and Disability Services to provide medically managed detox services and inpatient treatment services. And then the accreditation is another piece, and that's through the Joint Commission. That's a nationally accrediting body that is a higher standard than just a state licensure. And that's what we're currently working on.
Okay.
Is a higher level.
I actually live just, 500, 600 feet from that location. So my biggest fear when we approved it last year, whatever it was, I didn't want, and it's probably what everybody's thinking here, I didn't want somebody that is going to come into my garage and be fearful of the crime that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Are they allowed? I mean, you mentioned it, but I want to make sure that these people are not going to be these people. It sounds bad. I apologize. The folks that are checked into this facility are not going to be able to walk out and come down my street and walk in my garage, go jump in my pool, all that stuff. They're going to be escorted in and out. And
That's correct. Yep.
okay. And this is all private pay, correct?
Private pay or private insurance.
Well, I consider that private pay, but
Yeah.
okay, I'm sure in the medical field.
Now, there will be a few beds that we maintain for Medicaid patients, and Kansas isn't a Medicaid expansion state, and so that's limited to individuals who have disabilities or parents of young children. And so we hope that can be a resource for the community of Andover for those beds to be used for individuals from Andover and Butler County.
Okay. And they have to be screened before you'll accept them. So they're just not walking off the street and coming and going and.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. There's a pretty rigid screening process, and then those admissions are scheduled with a specific date and time when someone will be admitted.
Based on all your other, I guess, work you've done in other clinics, what for like projected EMS demand? I mean, are we expecting EMS is going to be called once a week, once a month. I mean, that's something we'll have to help, work with Butler County on a little bit. So.
Sure.
I
So,
mean-
so based on my experience, I don't want to give an exact number and be wrong. I would be surprised if it was ever 4 times a month. We're right next to Bella Vista, and I can tell you in the time that I've been there, I've seen a lot more calls from the EMS of that facility than we'll ever have at
Hear it all
ours.
the time. So yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. Let's speak about ownership.
Yes.
So right now, you guys you're owned or you're just managed by Ascension?
We're managed by Ascension Recovery Services. We're fortunate to have Nick Motu here, and Nick Motu can speak on behalf of the ownership group if you'd like to hear about the ownership.
It would be nice to have a little conversation if that's acceptable.
Thank you, Jason. My name is Nick Motu. I work for Ascension. The ownership group consists of 3 individuals from Minnesota. 2 are farmers from Minnesota. One of the farmers developed a process to convert old bakery goods into animal feed, and he sold the company about 10 years ago for a lot of money and started investing in senior care. He was touched by addiction in his family, and so he wants to now kind of give back and invest in SUD facilities. The other investor is also somebody that farms currently, that was touched by addiction numerous times in his family, and he wants to give back to kind of share what he experienced, which was positive outcomes for those that were suffering. The third is a private investor that invested in senior care prior to this time, and he was notified of the property being for sale because it was formerly a senior care facility. And that's why, they ended up buying the property. But as Jason said, when they did the market survey, the market demand survey, it was real obvious that, something was needed here in this part of the state. And so they chose Andover. And, I think they made some pre-visits here, as I did, and I was really impressed with the community. I continue to be impressed with it. They do as well. They've been here numerous times. These are not fly-by-night investors or operators. I mean, they're here to stay, and this is a longer-term investment for them. And it's going to be one of more. They're looking at South Dakota right now and Missouri. Ascension is the premier consultant in the country, and I connected them based on my experience with Hazelton Betty Ford to Ascension, and I ended up working for Ascension as well. So there's a partnership now between the investors and the ownership group and Ascension that will continue beyond Andover.
Okay. What is the ownership tenure of properties? Have they bought them and then 6 years, 2 years, they turn around and sell them?
Pete Jesh, who was in senior care, currently owns 42 senior care assisted living facilities, and he's had them since probably 10 years before, probably the early 2000s. Many of them, he just built a new one in Minnesota. All 3 of them live in Minnesota, and that's where I grew up and resided. So that was the connection that was made. The others have, I think, the one partner who I mentioned who started the animal feed company, he owns probably 10 senior care facilities, but he's got a massive investment portfolio of, but again, he wants to transition more for the mission than the margin or the profit into SUD because he was touched by addiction. I have been, by the way, in personal recovery for 34 years, and I know the ravages of addiction personally. 2 of my sons have experienced it. It's genetic. 15% of all of you probably will be assessed as, at some point in your life, as having an issue, according to SAMHSA, the federal government. And 40% of you know somebody, either a loved one, family member, or friend, that probably needs our services. If you extrapolate those percentages over the population of Butler County, I mean, there's a tremendous need here. And as Jason said, this is going to be different than what we have surveyed in the state. This is going to be a private facility for the most part that deals with, folks that want to come in for treatment, that want help. It's not going to be criminal diversion or court diversion. This will be folks that really want our help.
So this isn't going to be court ordered, is what you're saying?
It won't be, no.
How, and Mr. Mayor, I
Go ahead.
I'll
No.
let everybody else talk. I
No.
apologize.
That's what we're here for.
How can you guarantee that? I guess that's my biggest concern. How can you guarantee that it's going to stay private pay? And once we approve this, that you're not going to be like,
There's not enough demand. You're not a Medicaid expansion state here. When you look at the market demand analysis, as any business does, when they open a restaurant or a gas station, we're no different as a business. We looked at the market demand. There's not enough people that can be admitted and pay for their service. Medicaid is not big enough in Kansas. It's just not. In other states, it is. And we operate facilities that do drive much of their business through Medicaid, but that's not going to be the case here. There's not enough. 73% of all of the people in Butler County are covered by commercial insurance. 73%. In other states, I just looked at Minnesota and it was, 54%. So it's tremendously different here in terms of the demographic related to how people can pay for their service. So I don't know if that answers your question, but again, it's not economically viable to change our strategy.
If I can add something just real quick, I apologize. So I'm a little bit more familiar with Kansas, being a lifelong Kansas resident. And the other part, other than Medicaid, is the funding for indigent populations. I referenced the block grant funding for individuals who are uninsured or underinsured and at or below 200% of the federal poverty guideline. That is operated through a provider network. Those services are provided through that provider network, and that's a closed network. And I've operated previously within that network, and I can tell you it's about every 12 years that network opens up for new providers to come in. And it was 2 years ago that the network was opened and then reclosed. So you won't see new providers for funding for that population in Kansas anytime soon.
I have one more question, Mr. Mayor. Sorry. Jason, my question to you is, would you live next to this facility?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Without a doubt. And in fact, I would feel even safer living next to that facility because of the type of security that's there. I've operated a treatment center in Topeka that was directly across the street from a high school. And my experience there was that the school resource officers would much more frequently contact us to get access to our external cameras to see things that had happened at the high school than there were issues that we had there.
Thank you. I'm done, Mr. Mayor. Sorry.
Thank you. No, it's fine.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a couple questions. The first one I have is for Jason. I know you mentioned that if someone is going to check out or sign themselves out, can you give a little bit more detail of what that transition looks like? And I know you mentioned that somebody would pick them up. Can you just give a little bit more detail of what does that look like? That it's basically kind of the same thing that Councilman Berry said, that you're not just going to release them. They're going to open up the door. Like if they walked out of a hospital and refused treatment at a hospital, they just walk out. What does that look like from your standpoint? What is the protocol that you go through?
Sure. So if an individual decides that they want to discontinue their services, then they would meet with their primary therapist, they would meet with case management, and they would meet with a medical team to discuss exactly why it is that they're wanting to leave, what options there are for them to remain. A lot of what we focus on is an individual's motivation. Why do people come to treatment? And so when we have those conversations, it's a lot of what we look back back at is what brought you here in the first place. And those meaningful conversations about individuals' motivations, the majority of the time dissuade people from leaving. In our model, I've kind of mentioned what our patient demographic is like, and it's like the people of Andover. And so, if you imagine anyone from Andover who were to decide to leave the facility and the resources that they would have, it would be very similar. So, if they were committed to leaving after meeting with a medical team, after meeting with case management and the therapist, then we would go through what would be discharge planning. And in the discharge planning, then we would figure out, okay, how is it that you're going to leave here? Where are you going to go when you do leave here? And if a referral is needed, if someone were to decide that they wanted to go to a treatment center in Kansas City instead, then we would make contact with that facility. We would do what we call a warm handoff so that those individuals could go directly into the next type of service that they select.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Homer.
Jason, you mentioned, I think it's probably commonly referred to as JACO accreditation. Are you through JACO accreditation?
We can't begin accreditation through joint commissions until we've accepted or admitted our first patient. That's when the accreditation process begins for us. All of Ascension's other programs are joint commission accredited. And so the process for accreditation becomes easier for us as a facility through their accreditation.
And is that accreditation, so is this the same Ascensions that are here in town?
No, this is Ascension Recovery Services,
Okay.
and it's a different entity than Ascension Healthcare locally.
But the parent company, I believe she mentioned that you guys had just gotten accredited for the 3 years.
My annual accreditation.
That's for the Ascension Recovery Services as a whole?
For the other programs that they operate.
Okay. I know that's just a tough accreditation to get through. So that's why in some of these things, this facility hasn't been accredited yet because it can't be accredited without having patients, correct?
Correct. You have to admit your first patient before you can become accredited.
Can you bill the insurances without the JACO accreditation?
No.
Jody?
Mr. Mayor, this question is actually for Morgan. Sorry to make you get up and down. I know that you mentioned that you would share contacts of other communities in which you guys have a facility and the neighbors around it. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to contact them tonight. So can you give some sort of idea of what it looks like in the other communities that you're involved in? What is, I guess, the involvement? What is the, I guess, acceptance with the community now that you're actually there? What does that look like? And can you kind of give us an idea, since we're not able to make those connections right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot of our communities, they do look very similar to this in the sense of, especially the look of the property. A lot of our properties are in, previous senior or assisted living facilities, or older, bigger office buildings that, are freshly renovated. And most of our projects do have to go through special permit, hearings to get approved. But I would say, the look and feel of the facility or of the communities are very similar. And after, we see that the issues that people, bring up or anticipate to happen, they just don't happen. And, we are very quiet neighbors, probably quieter than real neighbors. We go to bed early. We are very structured. So, all of those things that people honestly forget about us. So that's just been the reality. And I did want to touch on the Joint Commission piece real quick is, whenever I say Ascension, recently passed their triannual survey, that all of the survey requirements, Joint Commission standards all of those standards, they impact how you operate day to day, how your protocols and policies are built. So the way that LifeSpring will be ran is according to Joint Commission standards. So, when we do have our Joint Commission site visit, they will be, reviewing the same quality materials, policies, and the way, just reviewing the whole way that we operate, which will align with how the other facilities operate as well. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I have one more question. One more question, Jason. I don't know where you are. There you are. If you
I always
did,
wished I was taller. You're making me feel really short now.
if you do have to call 911 or there's emergency medical need, do you have to report that to another agency, or do you have to report that to somebody that says, hey, this is what happened? Or is that just chalked up as another 911 call?
Nope. So if law enforcement accompanies the medical staff to the facility, then the Kansas Department of Aging and Disability Services has an adverse incident reporting system that we're required to report that interaction with law enforcement within 24 hours of when it occurs.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just to clarify, I think it's been stated, but to clarify, there are no current patients in your facility today, nor have there been in the last 30 some odd days since the ribbon cutting?
That's correct.
Okay.
We have not had any patients in our facility at all.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Question for you. You mentioned the block grant, and forgive my, lack of knowledge there. You mentioned that they're not open, they're a closed network. So just help clarify for me, because you said we don't accept uninsured or below 200% of the federal poverty line. But if that network were to open up in the future, whether through Medicaid expansion or the network opens up or Medicaid expands and more people qualify, are you saying that then we would accept uninsured or people on Medicaid?
No,
below 200%?
What I can tell you is that we have a little bit different business model than that. The reimbursement rates for that particular funding stream are at such a level that it would not cover the cost of us providing the service. And so it's not a funding stream that we would pursue.
Okay.
So I have a question for my police officer and probably my police chief and fire chief regarding the nursing homes in town, because my wife works at one. Sometimes both of you show up, or I've seen Buck there. Is that usually a double deal? And is that something they need to think about?
Well, let me give some stuff. I had somebody reach out to me and ask me my opinion. I am not here to give my opinion at all. I'm here to give my professional facts is all I'm going to do. So just spent a week with Chief of Police from Bel Air and learned that of their facility and they had. So we discussed similar to what is being done in Andover. I wrote some notes on this one as well. The communication when they first started was very effective prior to the center's opening, allowing the parties to remain informed and coordinated. However, the business was sold. Communication deteriorated, although the calls for service continued. So as tasked from January the 1st of this year to July 7th, the Bel Air Police Department responded to 38 calls, most occurring between noon and 9. Common issues includes fights, overdoses, medical calls for difficulty breathing, and walkaways. A significant concern is the staff have attempted to prevent law enforcement from entering the facility during emergencies, citing HIPAA violations. However, Title 42 CFR Part 2 governs the security of medical records. Obstructing officers during these emergencies a violation of law and could constitute interference with law enforcement duties. Now, there are many advantages and disadvantages to operating a detox center. In my experience as a previous agency, this isn't the same, and that's a good thing, because when I worked for another agency, you would pick someone on your beat and you would take them to another beat and drop them because you didn't want to deal with them, and they would deal with them constantly. That's the concern I know that you're bringing up. And so this is completely different, and I understand that. Pros would be the underlying driving of fewer repeated patients. So you can come up with pros and cons to both. But again, we did comparables and we also did the ones to previously of the location. There were 22 calls back in 2022 is where we can go with the number because when they were in full service, 15 of those were medical and et cetera. He's answered most of the key concerns that we have. Is it operated 24/7 by trained staff, security personnel, clear protocols when first responders would be involved versus when staff can handle the situations. Transportation is available to clients when they need to go back and forth. So that was being answered. Security measures in place, cameras, lighting, and controlled access. They answered that as well. Is there a strong partnership with local hospitals, EMS, mental health providers, and prosecutors? And will the center collect and share appropriate data to measure outcomes such as overdose and repeated contacts? Again, some of that, there's laws that cover HIPAA. We're not in the business of trying to get HIPAA, anybody's information, unless it's a criminal act. And that's where, again, when we're there with a fire or EMS, we will respond and we will, for their safety and ours, to handle the situation. Again, while there are some concerns, increased calls for service and neighborhood impacts, those issues cannot be reduced through strong management, adequate staffing, security measures, and close coordination with the first responders.
Okay. So most, because the old folks aren't getting out of hand where they need handcuffed most of the time.
No, it's, we do have some issues.
That's what I guess I'm asking.
Yeah.
If this gentleman's going to have to turn it in, if someone has a slip and fall, both of you show up, he's got to call somebody, correct?
So are you talking about with the state?
Well, you said that if the police show up, you
Yes.
have to make a phone call.
Well, it's essentially, yes, it's an online reporting system. So as opposed to making a phone call, then we enter it into their portal.
Okay.
Where did you, Mr. Mayor, if I may, where did you get the numbers, Jason, when you were talking about the other facilities and calls? Where did you get those numbers from? Because I would assume somebody could get those numbers for your facility if it should open.
So the ones in Wichita, we got from the LexisNexis crime map. And so we did not have access to the LexisNexis crime map for Bel Air or for Andover because they don't subscribe to that. So we don't have that data for that.
But that is something that is public or people do have access to somehow, right? I mean,
Yeah, so we would have had the opportunity to have provided a public information request of the city or the county to obtain that data.
Chief, you nodded your head. How does stuff get reported to LexisNexis?
So Becky, our 911 director, handles that. However, they have their own records management system. Bel Air does as well. It's like we do. It's not the same as what Wichita and the other ones that are reporting those. So it's going to be different for Wichita compared to Bel Air and our city as well. Becky, how's it reported through LexisNexis?
Becky, can you come up to the microphone? Sorry.
So there's a community platform that's provided from Central Square. I'm in the actual process of setting up what can be seen and what cannot with Central Square because, like I said, this is a fairly new system that we went live with, and there's stuff that we have to figure out. Our goal and our timeline is to be done August 1st, and we are awful close to meeting that because we obviously can't share private information. But once that is up and running, it'll be on the Andover Police Department's website. You can click on it, to see what the community stats are through the RMS system that we use.
All right.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank you, Becky.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Chief Buchanan and Chief Russell, in your guys' staff notes, those are made public after the agenda. So the reason I say that is because police department has their stats in there all the time in regards to calls from previous years, this year, that kind of stuff. It doesn't do it by address, but it shows call volume and that kind of stuff, correct?
Yeah, we show call volume. We do by locations as well. We just like Director Day said, we do not give out personal information whatsoever. It's one of those that's covered by law on certain things, especially with juveniles. There are people that can request certain information that, again, everything's covered by law, what you can and cannot give. And I understand from these homes, it's the same way, or detox centers, the same way. There's certain information they cannot give. It's protected those that they're serving. It's just our concern is going into these folks, if they've sold it and you have a new group coming in saying, you can't come in. Again, we work really close with our fire and EMS. I think it's important for their safety as we have a great relationship saying, if they need our help, we're going in. And for the most part, we don't have issues. In our nursing home, perfect example, our children's home, another one we have in town that most people don't realize is here. We have quite a few calls there, very few medical calls, but it's one of those that we handle that and we work with the staff extremely well. But again, we don't care about trying to get what's hidden behind the scenes or medical records, anything that's not our job. We're not there for that. We're there to make sure everything ultimately is everyone's safe.
And Chief Russell, I don't know who would know this maybe, but maybe Mayor, you would know this, at the nursing homes, there's not a nurse practitioner staffed 24/7, correct?
Well, there's one staffed, but there's not one on scene, on location.
Jason, at your facility, there's a nurse practitioner on location 24/7?
No.
No?
So there's a nurse practitioner who is on site every day, but not 24 hours a day. There are registered nurses or licensed professional nurses who are staffed 24/7.
But they at least come every day.
Yes.
Nursing homes, I know for a fact, don't have a nurse practitioner that comes in every day, just for this.
Our nurse practitioners come in to do rounds each
Correct.
day.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. This question is for Chief Buchanan. When you mentioned that information from Bel Air, from the police chief there, can you just clarify, I want to make sure I heard correctly, the facility is not the same facility owners as Jason, correct? A different facility, I'm assuming?
Correct. So Bel Air, I believe, is still owned by Summit Behavioral Healthcare, and we are owned by the ownership group that Nick mentioned, and then we're managed by Ascension Recovery Services.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure there was clarification. Thank you.
All right.
There's been some questions raised about transfer of ownership and longevity of the program. I spent 15 years with the same employer and planned to stay with them for the rest of my career until this opportunity came around. And it was a difficult decision to leave a 15-year stint with an employer. And I only did that because I believed that I would be with this employer for the next 15 years and would retire with them.
Anyone else have any questions? No? All right. Thank you, sir. Put my glass back. All right. We would like to welcome everyone interested in this agenda item to come to the podium and give your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. The governing body has been provided the draft minutes and the video of the public hearing has been made available. So please limit your comments to information not previously shared at the public hearing held on June 16th, 2026. And this is a stupid question, but does anyone from the public have any new information? Feel free.
Mr. Mayor, before we begin the
Yes,
public
sir.
hearing.
Yes, sir.
I noticed we've already lost a council member. Is it appropriate to take a short break
Okay.
for everyone? Like,
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
a couple minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we take a 5-minute recess.
Second.
All in favor? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. Still coming.
That's why.
You good? Mr. Mayor, I move that we come out of recess, please.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Give me 1 minute, sir.
Mr. Mayor, before we begin the public hearing, I have a couple of items that I think are important that we want in the record. First of all, I think it's kind of elephant in the room, but there was a notice provided far outside the statutory notification area for this zoning. And for the record, I need to note that was not a city notice. It was not an official notice. It was not a notice considered by city staff. It was not a notice approved by the city council. And it was certainly not a notice considered or approved by the city attorney's office. I say that because we don't normally provide that kind of a notice, and we won't on future zoning matters in all likelihood. So I needed that to be known for the record. The second thing is, I need to remind you all, we're not legally obligated to have a public hearing now. We had the public hearing at the Planning Commission. That is when we have the public hearing, but Andover has a long history of listening to all new information and allowing everybody to speak at the city council level. And there's no reason we wouldn't do that tonight. I would remind you all, it's not a question and answer period. It's an opportunity for everybody to speak and to be heard for 3 minutes. I want you to give them their full 3 minutes, and I'd prefer you not interrupt them. If they do have a question and it's something you want answered, you can write it down and we can answer that at the end of the public hearing, because I want to make sure everybody has their full amount of time. And then lastly, for you all, just a reminder, your oath here tonight, just so that you remember, you're not sitting here in a representative capacity. You're here in a quasi-judicial capacity. So you have to consider the findings and factors as determined by the Planning Commission, and you have to make your decision based on that. And I know you all know that because we had a nice long training session about 4 months ago. But I thought everybody else should know that that is your duty. And so with that explanation and information in the record, I think we're ready to start.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
My name is Joshua Albin. I live at 533 North Stone Tree Place over in Crescent Lakes. Good evening, and Mayor and members of the governing body. I appreciate the opportunity to address you regarding the special use application ZSU 260002. I wanted to begin by making one point absolutely clear. This is not a debate about whether addiction treatment is important, because it is, nor is the debate about whether our communities need behavioral health services. They unquestionably do. The question before you tonight is much narrower. Has the applicant demonstrated that this particular facility at this particular location satisfies the legal standards for issuance of a special use permit under the city's zoning regulations and Kansas law? Respectfully, I do not believe that the current record, and that's my new information, is an objective review of the record. The record does not allow you to answer that question in the affirmative. Kansas law gives you broad discretion, but also imposes an important responsibility. We have special rules in the state of Kansas known as golden factors based on Golden versus City or Overland Park. The framework designed to ensure that discretionary land use decisions are reasonable, evidence-based, and consistent with the community's planning policies. Today, I've heard a lot of information that was not presented at the planning and zoning meeting itself. We have several factors under Golden, including the character of the neighborhood, surrounding properties, and the proposed fit, therefore, whether or not the property is suitable for this particular use and not just institutional use, impact on nearby property, public safety and community, public benefit, and its true consistency with the comprehensive plan. Those are not procedural check marks. They are legal questions you must answer before approving a special use permit. And those questions must be answered with evidence, not assumptions. For example, the first two golden factors require you to consider the character of the neighborhood and the surrounding land uses. The staff report generally describes the area as mixed use, but it does not meaningfully address what may be one of the main defining characteristics of this location: 3 public schools, which are located within approximately 1,000 feet of the proposed facility. Whether one supports or opposes this application, schools are a part of the neighborhood's character. They affect traffic, they affect pedestrian activity, they affect the surrounding land uses and how they interact. Yet the record contains little analysis automatically, and those, while suggesting not that the schools would automatically prohibit the use, the golden analysis requires you to consider them before concluding there will be no adverse impact. Other golden factors is whether the property is suitable for this use. The fact that the building was formerly a skilled nursing facility certainly supports reuse of the property. But it does not automatically establish that the very institutional use is operationally equivalent. The report concludes that the proposed facility is no more intensive than the former nursing home. Respectfully, where is the evidence that supports that conclusion? Where is the comparison of the staffing, the admissions, discharges, security, transportation, emergency response, and daily operations?
Your time is expired.
Thank you for your time.
Next.
Ben Elliott, 609 Havenwood Court. Mayor Price, members of the council, my name is Ben Elliott. I've lived in Andover 30 years. My high school photo still hangs in that old/new, which tells you either how long I've been here or how good the picture was. I got my degrees at Fort Hays State and Kansas State, and I came home because that's what this is. I've raised my kids on what Andover has raised me on: service, integrity, and showing up for the place you live. That's why I'm here. I'm here because of something this town has always understood: how you treat the edges of a thing. The fence line, the neighbor next door, is the whole measure of whether you did it right. So I'm here about a fence. For days, I asked your zoning administrator hard questions, and Julie Boyd answered everyone straight, including the ones that hurt me. Here's what she told me: the Planning Commission recommended approval with no conditions. Staff, no conditions. And the required buffer between that building and my backyard is a 3 foot of screening, and it's met. She's right. Here's what meets it: a cedar picket fence, a backyard fence. That's the only buffer between this neighborhood and an 80-bed medical detox facility 200 feet from our families. If that same building sat 1 block over in a commercial district, your code would demand 6 feet solid. In an industrial district, 6 feet and 100-foot setback. The only reason it doesn't here is a letter on the zoning map. I asked Julie about that. She wrote back: a special use is not considered a different zoning district. We do not consider it to significantly change the intensity of the use. So if it doesn't change the intensity, why does it need a special use permit at all? Because sometimes it does. And this permit is the only place anyone looks at what's actually being built and asks if the standard still fits, because nobody has. On June 16th, the public hearing on this case drew not one resident. The notice went to a narrow radius, we found out from Councilman Gallagher's letter 2 days after the vote. Look around tonight. This is the neighborhood. We're the first ones who showed up. So here's my ask, and it's small. Mayor, council members, send it back. Simple majority, not a super majority. This is a simple majority. You did it in 2024. You had a unanimous recommendation. You sent it back anyway to look hard at the neighborhood character. Here it is. You were right then. And condition it: 6 foot solid screening, their property, their dime, maintained by them. Shielded lighting, a written discharge policy, no patient released on foot, drives pointed away from us, and an EMS and police report to this council every 6 months. LifeSpring told our HOA what kind of neighbor they'd want to be. Put it in the permit. A letter isn't enforceable. Yours is. You didn't rubber stamp in 2024. Send it back.
Time is expired.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Land. I live at 615 Crescent Lakes Drive. I'm here to share several concerns I hope the council will consider before making the decision. First, I want to address transparency and public notice. I was surprised to learn about this proposed facility only after the Planning Commission approvals and City Council meetings had already taken place in 2024 and 2026. I thank Councilman Gallagher for directly reaching out to engage affected homeowners. When I look back at the 2026 Planning Commission meeting materials, I noticed the proposed use was described as a, quote, intermediate care facility. However, the operator's website describes LifeSpring as a, quote, substance use disorder treatment center. Those are two very different sounding things, especially to a lay person in understanding what's coming in. The Planning Commission terminology does not give residents a clear understanding of what is being proposed. In the Andover Unified Development Manual, intermediate care facility is listed along with assisted living, skilled nursing, and intermediate care facilities. And I'm reading from Article 5, MXR Special Use, Line 2. Line 4 lists rehabilitation homes such as halfway houses. The Planning Commission chose to use intermediate care facility, and that feels like an attempt to hide the true purpose of this facility. No, the proper legal notification of only property owners within 200 feet of the proposed facility excluded 98% of the 398 Crescent Lakes families whose children attend school within 1 mile of the proposed facility. The 200 feet also excludes the schools themselves. So I'm making the assumption that the Andover School District has not had the opportunity to provide any input to city planning or city council. I do not believe the city has been transparent with the nature of the proposed use and the services that will be provided, and this has affected our public participation until tonight. Second, I have concerns about compatibility with surrounding businesses, schools, and residences. Medical and commercial corridors seem to be a better fit. The proposed drug rehab center is adjacent to a residential neighborhood and an assisted living facility. It's located within 1 mile of an elementary school, a middle school, a high school, city parks, and other city centers. I appreciate
Your
the
time is
importance.
expired.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Paul Wimmer. I live at 524 Crescent Lakes Drive. I've called Andover home for more than 6 years. I also had the privilege of serving on City Council. You know, sometimes in life, we're fortunate enough to get a second chance to revisit a decision with the benefit of additional information, and I believe this is one of those moments for myself. When this project first came before council in 2024, I voted in favor of it. Looking back, I don't believe I fully understood the size of the proposed facility, the scope of its operations, or the regional impact it could have on our community. I wish I had asked more questions then, and I'm asking them now. Let me be clear, this is not about opposing addiction treatment. People struggling with addiction deserve treatment, dignity, and the opportunity for recovery. My concern is whether the city has exercised the level of due diligence, transparency, and oversight appropriate for an 80-bed medical detox and residential treatment facility. This is not a neighborhood counseling office. It's a regional medical facility that markets its services throughout the Wichita area, across Kansas, and according to the information I received directly from the facility, accepts patients from outside of Kansas as well. That doesn't automatically make it inappropriate, but it does mean we should evaluate it as a regional institution that it is, not simply as another local business. Before approving this request, I believe the council and the public deserve answers to several important questions. Why is an 80-bed facility appropriate for the city the size of Andover? What percentage of patients are expected to come from Andover, from Sedgwick County, from elsewhere in Kansas, and from outside of the state? Have you guys been given those stats? How will emergency calls, police responses, and impacts on local fire and EMS be monitored? We heard that the facility would have staff meet with anybody that wants to leave. Are they allowed to actually physically detain somebody from leaving, or does the individual have to agree to sit down and meet with staff, or are they allowed to just walk out? Recovery treatment is important. Responsible government is equally important. Compassion does not require us to abandon scrutiny, and urgency should not require the city to approve first and ask questions later. I encourage you to take the staff up on their offer to visit the facility, get detailed answers to your questions, not just the sales bullet points. Trust but verify. I believe that there are many ways that Andover can help with addictions, but I ask, is this the best? The staff cited their business strategy, but strategies can change. This is a for-profit business. If they aren't profitable, this business could sell and the zoning would carry over. I respectfully ask the council, if nothing else, to delay approval until these questions are fully answered
Time is
and
expired.
documented for both council and public. Thank you.
Hi, I'm David Lybrand. I live at 728 North Deerfield Circle here in Andover. I'll say here at the beginning and at the end, send it back to Planning Council. There's been a lot of new information received tonight. We need to review that together to do due diligence. I'd also like to point out to the room that we heard from members of the management and the ownership and whatnot. They spoke respectively for almost 15 minutes, more than 6 and more than 6. That's 5 and double the time that we the people get to speak as residents who live here. I'm an economics major. I have my master's. I can understand these things, but we heard a lot about profit margins, revenue streams, percentages. We're talking about my kids, your family. I'm deeply concerned about the proposed rehab facilities location directly across from 3 schools and next to our residential community for the safety of our kids and families. I oppose the opening of this drug facility and I respectfully ask to send it back to the Planning Commission given this new information. Send it back to better study options for placing this center. I say options because it is unacceptable to me that we are given a simple yes or no. Send it back to find potentially better locations for this drug facility that provide a greater buffer from our schools, our homes, our kids, and our families. Rightfully so, earlier this evening, we celebrated Officer Lance Parker. That was phenomenal. He said he was celebrated for making the kids of this community feel safe and supported. Let's mean what we say. Let's make this place where kids feel safe and supported. We had good questions about security. Let's say the quiet part out loud. There's no physical security. There's cameras, there's escorts, but no physical security. Again, let's make this a safe place to live. Again, I don't care about margins. Let's please send it back to the Planning Council with all this new information. Thank you.
Hi, Mayor and Council. Lori Cullum, you know me in another role in this city, but I'm speaking to you as a resident tonight, 120 South Pink Court. I spoke to you on June, the last meeting, in favor of LifeSpring Recovery. So I'm going to be opposed to everybody else here in this room because I attend almost every city council meeting. I pay attention to planning and zoning. So the city council hasn't done anything behind closed doors. That is all public information. You have had the opportunity to look at it. If you are concerned about your children walking by a recovery facility, are you concerned about them walking by the local bar? Do you want to be notified every time a liquor license get approved and a new restaurant opens? Or are you going to celebrate a new place to eat and not a potential DUI, not a potential fatal accident for your kids, for your family? LifeSpring Recovery stepped into this community and they wanted to become a part of it. They sought out the community. They wanted to know, what does it take to be a part of it? It's very ironic to me. We begin each council meeting. We pause for prayer. For me, that's a reminder that we lead with integrity, compassion, and grace. Those values are tested most when we're asked to consider people whose struggles may be different than our own, who might butt up to our backyard. But it's when it comes to times like these, we can show what true community is and what support can look like, rather than being in fear, rather than being worried. So I ask you to move forward. Planning Commission did do their due diligence twice. Thank you.
Yang Ng, 1201 East Woodstone Drive in Andover. I have here printout of the Planning Commission's meeting, okay, and also today's meeting. I've highlighted the words intermediate care facility, intermediate care facility, intermediate care facility used by both City Council and also the Planning Commission, okay? The recommended action of this meeting is to approve a special use to permit an intermediate care facility. On paper, it is an intermediate care facility, but in reality, it is an addiction treatment center. According to encyclopedia.com, an intermediate care facility offers room and board and nursing care for people who can no longer live independently. Addiction treatment center, on the other hand, is a facility that provides therapy and medical intervention for substance use disorders, two different facilities. I asked Google 3 questions. Question 1, is intermediate care facility the same as addiction treatment center? Answer, no, they are not the same. They serve completely different populations, treat different conditions, and operate under separate regulatory and funding models. Question 2, is addiction treatment center commonly regarded as intermediate care facility during zoning process? Answer, no. Zoning boards and state licensing bodies maintain strict, separate legal definitions for these terms to govern land use, density, and safety requirements. Question 3, what may happen if Andover City officials classify an addiction treatment center as an intermediate care facility in Kansas? Answer, it can lead to severe zoning conflicts and regulatory non-compliance. Under Kansas State Statute Chapter 39, these two facility types serve entirely different populations and operate under different regulatory frameworks. This can lead to 2 vulnerabilities. First, the city of Andover utilizes special use permits for intermediate care facilities in specific zones, such as mixed residential MXR. Classifying a drug detox or rehab center under this umbrella is a structural mismatch. Second, neighboring property owners and local advocates could easily sue the city. They can argue that the city failed to follow its own zoning ordinances by approving a land use that does not fit the legal code. The now intermediate care facility made the June 16th meeting notification by the Planning Commission sound less important. So no one attended that meeting.
Hired.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening to all. My name is Jenny Wong, and I live in 1201 East Woodstone Drive. I'm not against drug recovery centers, but this one is way too close to our schools, and it's way too big for Andover. Planning Commission claimed that they have sent meeting notifications to 8 residents that are within 200 feet of the facility. However, residents living immediately next to the facility have said that they did not receive the notification. For transparency, I urge the city to publish the list of residents who have received the meeting notification. I feel that more than 8 residents should have been notified. Common sense would dictate that a large facility like this, which brings drug users from the whole of Kansas and Oklahoma, will impact more than 8 residents. Please put the safety of our children first. This is the wrong location for such a facility. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us time to talk today. My name's Tia Allen. My address is 1202 East Woodstone Drive. I'm a school teacher. I'm a kindergarten teacher. My husband coaches basketball at a local university and teaches classes when he has time available, when he's not spending time in the front yard playing catch with our boys or coaching our kids in basketball. My kids are scholars. My youngest attends Sunflower Elementary School, and he's ranked 90 percentile in the state of Kansas in math. My oldest is attending Andover Central High School, go Jags, where he is part-time high school and part-time college at WSU with aspirations of practicing law. I hear try, surprise, we're part of your community. I also hear you're a lot like, you're a lot like, you're a lot like. My perspective is very unique. My husband went to grad school in St. Paul, Minnesota. I lived in Ember Grove Heights. Nothing like Andover, nothing like Butler County. I lived in Bel Air. Our first home was bought in Bel Air. Super proud of it. Bel Air Recovery Center came. Direct impact on my family. There are rules and regulations, but nothing's guaranteed. There are people walking around in our neighborhood late at night. There are car break-ins happening in 2019 when they open. Nothing like Andover, nothing like Butler County. I now live in Crescent Lake where my kids have friends and my 10-year-old walks freely throughout the neighborhood and I feel safe about it. Could I do that in Minnesota? Absolutely not. Could I do that in Bel Air? Absolutely not. Do I feel 100% safe doing that in Crescent Lake? I do. When your recovery center comes, you will wipe me of that hope. You cannot guarantee safety for my kids. You cannot keep those people, just like my father, who was a vet and a recovering addict, in your facility. That is not possible legally. So he could leave his center and do whatever he wants, and they could pick him up and bring him back. That would be the same situation. My kids don't need to be exposed to that. I moved here, I pay taxes here. I probably stay in an overpriced house, but I'm willing to do it so that my kids can have this experience. I'm a teacher. In the summer, I work for KU at an ADHD program. I hear people say, that's no compassion, there's no empathy because it's in your backyard. I live a life of service. I would never do anything different. I love giving, but I also love making sure that my family is safe. You cannot guarantee that with your center. Please send it back.
Good evening. My name is Jordan. I live at 626 North Somerset Court, and my family recently moved to Andover from Washington, and I purchased a home in Crescent Lakes intentionally, but I was born and raised in Rose Hill. So choosing Andover was an intentional decision. As parents raising a young child, we were looking for a community known for an excellent school district, quality childcare, parks, and a safe, family-friendly neighborhood. Therefore, I was surprised to learn that a drug or behavioral recovery facility was being considered so close to homes, schools, childcare centers, and parks. I want to be clear. I support addiction treatment and behavioral health needs. The stigma isn't the issue, and I imagine many of people in this room have someone in their life who struggles with mental health, who struggles with addiction or behavioral health issues. I believe recovery and behavioral services are essential. I agree people struggling with substance use or in need of services deserve it. My concern is not with the mission of the recovery center. My concern is the location in which it has been chosen. Again, location is my concern. Before moving to Andover, my family lived in Seattle for nearly 10 years. We have firsthand experience with recovery and behavioral facilities in the near residential areas. While many individuals completed treatment successfully, others left before finishing or had nowhere else to go afterward. Some remained in the surrounding areas, and over time, those areas sometimes attracted others involved in drug activity or individuals looking to take advantage of vulnerable people. While I sincerely hope every person who enters the program finds success, many of the people receiving services will have no long-term connection to our community. This makes the choice of location especially important. I respectfully ask the Planning Commission to return the proposed zoning charges and send it back. Please consider the long-term impact for this decision that it could have on the families, schools, childcare providers, businesses, and residents who have chosen to invest in this community. There has to be a better location for this facility, further away from neighborhoods, schools, childcare centers, and parks. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Hi, my name is Brianna Basso, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I grew up on 606 Havenwood Court. I attended Andover schools and graduated Andover Central class of 2017. I eventually went on to Wichita State University, where I got my degree in secondary English education, and I actually taught at Andover Central Middle School for a year before my husband, who's in the Air Force, we moved over to the Netherlands. That's currently where we're stationed. So I wanted to talk about how someone mentioned prayer and having empathy. I don't think it's that we don't have empathy. Again, it's the location in which this is going to take place. So 80 beds is not a small treatment center, but one that, quote, will serve the Wichita metro area and all of Kansas, according to the LifeSpring website. Per the Andover City Council meeting minutes on the 16th, it was asked whether or not patients could leave anytime during their treatment. The response was, any patient may sign themselves out of the facility at any time despite it being against medical advice. You say that this facility won't increase traffic, but say in order for people to leave, they must have transportation arranged from a family member or loved one. So it will not just be workers coming and going, but rather people constantly leaving and visiting, like you said, was scheduled on Saturdays. Also, what was mentioned in the meeting was that visitors are not searched. It was also noted at night around only 12 techs, 1 nurse, and security would be on site for 60 to 75 patients. A licensed psychiatrist will only be on site around 3 times a week. You also mentioned that patients cannot leave on their own without a staff member present or being picked up and transported elsewhere. So why do you constantly have to do perimeter checks to ensure safety? Another important aspect to mention is property values. In an already difficult market, this location adds the risk of property value loss, especially those who live in close proximity to the facility. That is where the house I grew up in is, and several other houses where hardworking Andover families live. Published research has found that homes located within 1/8 of a mile of substance abuse treatment centers experienced an average reduction in sale price of approximately 8%. With larger impacts reported for opiate treatment, which LifeSpring will treat as stated on their website. As I close, I want you to ask yourself a question. Out of all locations, is this the best one, not only for the community, but also for the patients receiving help? Send it back. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for your time. My name is Zanae Prey. I live at 842 East Woodstone Drive. First off, I would like to thank you for bringing to our attention that everyone in here is probably close with someone who's been through rehab. I am as well. I actually trust one of them to watch my children now. She was through rehab multiple times, 90-day rehabs, not 30-day rehabs. And she, when I explained to her, was profoundly shocked that we would consider putting a rehab facility like this in our neighborhood and next to a school. We have 2 neighborhood pools within a mile, 1 grade school, 1 middle school, and a high school within a quarter of a mile. Someone who's been through rehab 7 times and is shocked we're putting it in our neighborhood, I think that's speaking from passion. Yes, we need rehab. Yes, I'm passionate about it. I'm friends with people who've been through it and have loved ones, but it's not for our neighborhood. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Sarah and I live at 414 East Park Place here in Andover. And I just want to say good evening to Mayor and all the rest of the council members, and thank you for allowing me and all of us to speak a few minutes. I want to begin by saying that I understand that addiction and recovery are difficult issues that affect many. I do not make light of these challenges. However, after reviewing comments and remarks this evening, I have concerns about whether this is the appropriate use for this particular property and location. The question that continues to come back to me is this the very best fit for this property within this location of our community. This site, as we know, is located near established residential neighborhoods, our parks, and in close proximity to our schools. The decisions made about the properties in this area will shape the character of this part of Andover for many years. There are no guarantees that the length of time this facility will remain with the current owner and investor group. It could potentially be purchased by entities that don't require the strict policies and safety protocols. I would respectfully ask the council to carefully consider the full impact of this decision, including the surrounding neighborhood schools, the community resources, the long-term vision for this area. I appreciate the need to make thoughtful decisions about the land use, and I ask that you send back this proposal to be evaluated with the broader community considerations in mind. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, I'm Ruth Williams. I live at 1032 Lake Crest Drive. And the thing I love most about Andover is all the awesome walking paths and running paths, which is why I'm dressed like this, because I'm often out running or walking. And I always feel safe. I always see the police drive by me at least 2 or 3 times. So yes, high priority. I do ask that you would send this back to the Planning Commission because I don't think the term intermediate care facility accurately represented the type of business that was planned. So now that we are all a little more interested and you have our attention, I think we need to do a little bit more investigation and just not rush into anything that's going to have a lasting effect and we may not be able to go back on in the future. So thank you.
Hello, Mayor, Council. I live at 609 North Worthington Place. I'm one of the 8. If you want to mark my name as Marcus Quintero. 3 of my residents do not walk. I do a lot of care for them and take care of them. The biggest thing that I noticed with the industrial area and the residential area is the fence line. You might as well just kick it over because it's not there in half the places. There's supposed to be a buffer. So probably that needs to be addressed. Also, I'd like to thank the police for their attention to the city. I know half the time I'm around here, I see them pulling over people for not having their headlights on or brake lights on because their daylight running lights are on. I like to see that continue. I don't want to see them distracted. Also, it's been known that I've given them a few cupcakes along the way because I've left my garage door open and they leave nice reminders on my car. Being in the military man that I've retired in 30 years, I do a lot of contract wet work right now. I'm not in my house a lot. So I'm literally looking at it. The other thing is the people that are serviced there right now, there's actually a caring network in the community that try to help those folks out. I don't think old folks in that kind of atmosphere is probably a good thing. So I hope that you send it back. Thank you.
Council, Mayor, I live at 213 East Central, right next to Walgreens. And I used to know everybody in Andover. I've lived there since 1945. That's AD. And we never had any problems, but this facility, I don't think is suitable for Andover. I don't say we have the need for it. What this facility is doing is taking care of Sedgwick County and Wichita. And we don't have the people in Andover like that. So I think you should send it back.
Anyone else? Last call. All right. Does the applicant have any further response to the public comments? No? Any council questions to the applicant? No?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
it was brought up in some of the questions that I would like to address this, if I may. Sorry, zooming back to Mr. Jason. To the extent that you, in your experience, have seen, we talked a lot about policies and procedures of patients checking out of the facility and going through the process of leaving against medical advice and so forth. To what extent can you speak to put it simply, runaways, people that leave outside of those policies and procedures? How frequently does that happen in your previous experience? And is that addressed in this special use case, or can you address that question?
Councilman, just to clarify, I understand your question. You're asking me what my experience is with people self-discharging.
Correct. Yes. I think the police chief referenced the other Bel Air Recovery Center having, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 38 runaways?
No, they have had walkouts, not.
They have had
the
walkouts.
The numbers I gave were just in general calls. It could be medical, it could be whatever it is. So make sure we're very clear. It was just, they have walkouts as well, is what they call that. But no, that's not a number specifically to any particular area. It's just overall calls is what they've had.
Specific to that facility?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess defining terms is important. What would we qualify a walkout versus a self-discharging from the facility against medical advice? I guess that question could go to Chief Buck or you, Mr. Jason. So sorry for any vagueness. I'm just trying to understand, like, how often do people run away? Because I think people have expressed concern here tonight about safety concerns about their children, whether it's pools or school or parks and things of that nature. To what extent have you seen in the past, in your experience, runaways that don't follow the proper policies and procedures?
I've worked in different types of facilities, and depending on the type of facility, to some degree determines the frequency with which that happens. So I've worked in some facilities in which people were court ordered to be there, and people were had motivations outside of their own intrinsic motivations to come to treatment, and that the incidence of people walking out was higher in that population. I've also seen it be higher in adolescent populations. So at this facility, people check in just like they would to any other type of healthcare facility. They check in because they want to be there. If someone decides to leave, there's a process by which they would need to be able to retrieve their medications, by which they need to be able to retrieve their belongings. So in those situations, you don't see people really just walk out. I don't know if that answers your question.
Just so we're clear, so you're saying that in these types of 30-day intermediate care facilities or substance use treatment facilities, you have not seen walkouts in this type, focusing on this type of patient demographic?
I don't want to say never, but I can't think of one where someone just brushed by staff and left, where it wasn't a coordinated sort of discharge. Again, I won't say never, because I mean that could happen. Kind of like someone could get out of the dentist chair and walk out of the dentist's office.
Certainly. I appreciate your presentation there. This question, I guess, is maybe for city staff. Can we confirm that the notification radius was 200 feet from this facility? Okay, I'm seeing nods, so yes. To the extent possible, what are our options as a council for rescinding special use permits? Let's say worst case scenario, everything goes awry and worst fears are realized. Once the special use permit is approved, what are the options for going back on that?
I'm going to let Les correct me if I'm wrong, but as long as it's continually operated within that special use, you would not have an actionable ability to go back and change the special use. If the special use was changed to another use, then this special use would lapse. But otherwise, you do not have ability to revoke zoning once granted.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Just for the record, I know it's in the documentation, but I just want to say it audibly because the word hasn't, as far as I recognize, been mentioned tonight. This is the medication primarily used for addiction treatment for opiate addiction would be Suboxone. Is that correct in this facility? And you mentioned it's not a methadone clinic, which I'm somewhat more familiar with, but this would be, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Suboxone would be the primary?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. We would not have the license to dispense methadone.
Sure. Can you, briefly explain the difference between methadone and Suboxone in 30 seconds or less? We don't need a full lecture, but the differences as it relates to treatment and risk profile to your particular facility?
Yeah. So at the risk of misspeaking pharmacologically, I will say that Suboxone acts as both a partial agonist and antagonist. And so it attaches, the medication will attach to some of the mu opioid receptors in the brain and fill those mu opioid receptors the way that any opioid would. But then it also acts as an antagonist and it doesn't allow additional opioids to attach. And so it prevents people from continuing to experience the euphoria of continued use.
Okay. This question is for city staff. And I'm sorry to kind of waffle between two. Are there currently any immediate care special use permits in the city of Andover which focus on rehabilitation from substance use disorder? And if so, which ones are they?
To my knowledge, we don't have any other active special uses for this kind of thing.
Do we have any other intermediate care facility special use permits?
I would have to dig back as far as we've got records. I don't believe so.
Okay.
Because the current iteration of the zoning regulations is from 2018, and we haven't had a ton of cases like that since 2018.
At the risk of...
If I could add to that a little bit, the intermediate care facility definition came from the state of Kansas back in 2018 when we rewrote our zoning regulations. As far as I know, I've been here 38 years. This is the one and only location that an intermediate care facility has been applied for.
So that is to say, sorry, Mr. Mayor, for my continued line of questioning. That is to say that there is no other special use permit for intermediate care. The nursing homes would not qualify as those as well? Or what category would they fall under? A different category? Like Bellevilla and...
Correct. Those licenses all come from the state of Kansas and they each have an independent definition of their practice.
Okay. I think I'm done for now.
All right. Anyone else? All right, let's move on. The following options are available to the council regarding this case. Adopt the finding of fact and recommendation of the Planning Commission, or override the recommendation of the Planning Commission by a 2-3 majority vote, or return the recommendation to the Planning Commission with a statement specifying the basis for the governing body's failure to approve or disapprove this action. Assuming the council has received all information they need on this case, you have received an outline of the choices provided under the state statutes for council action KSA 12-757C. Council, how do you wish to act?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt the findings of fact and recommendation of the Planning Commission.
Can I get a second?
If there isn't a second, Mr. Mayor, that motion will die for lack of a second.
Does that then return the recommendation to the Planning Commission?
No.
No.
You have to make
Um,
affirmative
Is
action
that
with,
motion, is Homer's motion dead, Mr. Mayor?
The mayor has to decide if there's going to be a second, and it doesn't sound like there's going to be, so that he just needs to declare that motion dead.
Yes. She's feeling better.
Mr. Mayor,
Seconds?
I think you have to declare the motion dead.
Then what happens?
I'll make another motion.
They'll entertain other motions.
All right, motion is dead.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to move to push it back to planning and zoning under number 10, number 12, number 11, and number 14. In their report, I would like to get more information in regards to the neighborhood, the current land uses, the surrounding neighborhood, the detrimental effects to the neighborhood, along with how it really confirmed,
gets to the comprehensive plan in that neighborhood, along with number 14, which would be the, how would it potentially lose value or hardship imposed to public health. That makes sense, Les? Did I?
Is that a valid motion?
Before, I just want to make sure, Councilman Berry, that there isn't anything else or any conditions you want considered, just those items.
At this time, that is all I have.
Okay, so that's the motion. That's all
That's
I
the
wanted to
motion.
be clear about.
I'll second.
Any further questions or discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
do we have options for guardrails or anything like this when it comes to this business or the special use in regards to what we can do to prevent future uses, to prevent it selling and becoming something that is not voted on currently tonight?
Well, Homer, I knew you'd get to something I don't know the answer to, but the kind of, I want to answer the question I wished you asked, okay? I don't think because it would probably qualify as discriminatory under the Constitution that you could say, for instance, this is conditioned upon this always being a private pay institution. I just don't think you could do that.
Could we do it by ownership change?
I don't think you can do it by ownership. That would be discriminatory against other owners who in many cases could be, a protected class, for instance. I mean, you could make a motion that adds conditions about the use of the property, for instance, buffer zones, but those things, quite frankly, if you added conditions, would be a rejection of the Planning Commission's recommendation because they recommended no further conditions. So that would be considered a rejection and it would require a 2/3 vote. So have I answered your question? You could not create conditions that could be discriminatory or violate someone's constitutional rights.
Because as JT, as Mr. Elliott brought up in regards to the cedar picket fence, if we were to do a condition of buffering, it would have to run the whole length of the maroon squares up there, right? I mean,
You can do whatever you want, but it would be a rejection of the city council or the planning commission's recommendation. So it would have to pass by 2/3. That would not be considered an adoption of their recommendation, which was that there are no further conditions.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
can I ask a question of JT? So in a motion, can we ask the Planning and Zoning Commission to implement those things or to look at buffers? Can that be a specific motion we ask of them if we send it back to them?
It could have been.
Okay.
That's why I asked the
Thank you.
question, but that's not the motion on the
Right.
floor currently.
Okay, thank you.
So if that motion dies and is reworded?
Yeah.
That's how that would work.
it's already been seconded.
The motion will not die. It's been seconded, so
Okay,
you are
second.
going to vote on it. But if that motion does not carry, we are going to consider other motions because you have a legal duty to do one of those three things that the mayor outlined for you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I just have something as far as discussion or deliberation. I contacted a couple of businesses that Jason had mentioned, and businesses that very similar to the layout that we have, where it's a neighborhood, nursing home, and then also a treatment center. The businesses that I contacted did not have any issues with a treatment center, intermediate facility, having any issues with them coming over, leaving, anything like that.
Okay, Mr. Mayor,
Hey.
the council has been referred to the bench, and so we're going to ask the crowd not to participate. In fact, that period is over. So to maintain order, we're going to restrict the conversation to the bench.
And that's all I have to say on it. I just,
All right, anything else? All in favor of the motion, say yes.
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 All opposed, say no. No. Mark that in the record. That is 5-1.
Did everybody vote?
Okay. All right, so I need to read this final sentence.
No, because it's not a final adjudication.
All right, onward and upward. But hey, I just want to let you all know that we have never let people come in here and be redundant, one after other, after the 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 other. So you got a opportunity that no one has ever got before. And we could have kept you, I as a mayor could have kept you from doing that, but I did not want to do that. Just to be clear, all right? That's never happened before. But I thought you deserved the opportunity to speak over and over and over and over, okay? All right.
I can't hear, Mr. Mayor, and we still have numerous agenda items. So I'll ask everybody to maintain so I can hear what you're doing. And then if someone would maybe close the doors, because I just can't hear you.
All right.
Thank you.
Ready? Set public hearing for declare ended intended mill rate 4. Resolutions to set the RNR and annual budget hearing, and Matt's going to talk to us about this tonight.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have for you a request to adopt a resolution setting the public hearing date for the revenue neutral rate hearing. We will have on that night, we will be required to have a public hearing for the revenue neutral rate in it, as well as for the city's annual budget. They will be separate hearings. We are not voting tonight on the mill rate or the budget. You are simply setting the date of the public hearing, which has been requested as August 25th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in this room. I have for you the resolution itself, as well as an example of the intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate notice that will be sent to Butler County Clerk, once you all set the date of the hearing.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution setting a public hearing regarding the city of Andover's intention to levy a property tax exceeding the revenue neutral rate for Tuesday, August 25th, 2026 at 7 p.m. at 1609 East Central Avenue to hear testimony from all interested taxpayers desiring to be heard as required by state law, and authorize the mayor to sign the notices of intent to exceed revenue neutral rate document.
Second. Any further questions or discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll just quickly, I know it's already late tonight. I will just add here the annual disclosure that the staff and council and mayor have been in deep discussions through many hours of consideration with individual departments. It's a very thorough process. The staff, to its credit, does many hours outside of meeting with council to review all the areas of the budget that can be cut, to the extent that we have, they have found savings of originally $1.5 million. This council was concerned, I believe, that we were cutting down too close to allow reserves to be too low. And this action is my opinion, I won't speak for the council, but it's my opinion that this is a responsible increase to make sure that we have enough reserves for the future.
Anyone else? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. City Hall, Police Department, server purchase, and Neil is going to talk to us about that.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. My first item this evening is for approval for replacement of the core servers at the Police Department and at City Hall. These servers support daily operations. They're very critical for public safety services and access to critical data. They are nearing the end of life, and we feel like replacing them now will reduce the risk of downtime, which could be up to a week if they go down. It'll also improve redundancy between locations, having multiple hosts at each site, and it'll allow security updates to be completed in a more timely manner. We can do those during the business hours versus overnight, midnight, on the weekends, things like that. The staff would like to recommend the Stollard Technologies quote. That bid came in at $117,999. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Mr. Mayor, I have just one, I guess, quick question for Mr. Neal. Can I ask a question, Neil? Why is Dell so much more, even though, I mean, they're Dell servers? Shouldn't be cheaper? I mean,
yeah, the Dells are brand new. These are recertified servers.
Oh,
We're
okay.
going with one model behind.
okay.
These were not unfortunately planned in the past, and we need to get them swapped out.
Okay.
So we're
the
planning
Dell-
for
the
new
Dell
and
proposal from Dell is brand new.
is
servers.
brand new.
These
Yeah,
are recertified.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
And Neil, to speak to that too, I couldn't get it to a line where going with the Dell ones was going to be better financially or fiduciary duty in the long run, because even though they're double, we would never, I believe the refurb ones were 5 years versus 7 years. Is that right?
Correct.
So we would never catch up to the amount of servers we would have to buy in a span. I think I was doing, I did 21 years because it was the closest, as far as we would have to buy 3 Dell servers at $242 a piece, rounding down. And then the Stollard ones, we would have to buy to equate that, essentially 5. It didn't equate out as far as being a savings for us.
Correct. And just to give you some future knowledge on this, we're going for 4.5 to 5 years on these recertifieds. After that, we're looking at servers that will go more 8 years. So they will outlive their warranty, but these should not. These, we plan on fully purchasing new ones before these go out of warranty. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move we accept the proposal from Stollard Technology, Inc., Stillwell, Kansas, in the amount not to exceed $117,999.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, yes.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. Cox Communications Service Agreement Renewal. Neil's going to talk to us about this as well.
Mr. Mayor, Council, for this item, it is the same 36-month contract we're used to with Cox Communications for our internet and phone services across the city and all facilities. As in the past, again, it's 36 months. However, with this agreement, there is a 60-month dark fiber agreement that we are adding that we've never had in the past. This is meant to improve connectivity between sites. Brief background on dark fiber: it basically allows sites to talk as if we ran a cord across the street to each site. It's ours, it's leased, but it's private. So all of our connections will be faster. more secure is basically what that is. The proposed pricing with the dark fiber included does lower the city's overall annual cost by over $24,000, while allowing us to upgrade the infrastructure and replacing the unsupported phone equipment that we have. We'd recommend approval. And again, I'll be happy to answer any questions regarding the new agreement.
That is amazing. You saved that much money. That is fantastic.
Took about 6 months.
Yeah, we appreciate that. So,
Mr. Mayor,
yep.
you know, in regards to that savings too, Neil, why don't we use VoIP or voice over internet phones?
They're about the same price, honestly. What we have is almost a VoIP solution. It's through Cox. It is using data. It's just a dedicated data fiber that they have. So we've looked at switching into that, but Cox gave us a pretty good deal. I mean, obviously with the discount and getting the new phones, that was important. The phones we have now are not supported, meaning if we have any problems with them, our only recourse is to buy new phones from Cox. They're going to replace all these at no cost under this agreement. So starting fresh. 3 years, we'll look again at the voice over IPs.
Awesome.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
this 60-month term for dark fiber services is something we do not have currently, correct, Neil, and increases our security posture as we are utilizing, to put it in lay terms, unused roads of the internet.
Exactly. Yeah. When Cox lays fiber throughout the city, they have dark fiber that's not lit up, no lights on each end. We're taking those pairs. They're going to go dedicated to us. And the reason for the 60-month agreement is that it's just a larger cost to them to be able to provide those lines. So they need to make sure they get their investment back. That's why it's on a 60-month. I would never foresee us getting rid of it. So
I support that direction. Appreciate your hard work on gathering this quote.
Sure.
Are those lines already here, Neil, or do they have to run them?
They have to run partials. If you'll recall, for those of you that were on the council 3 years ago, we took a hike on Cox because they had to install fiber at most of our locations that didn't have it. That's partially the reason we're getting a lower price now, is we've already covered their construction cost, and this is a minor one compared to that.
And that includes the new wastewater plant?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's, and I don't know if I should step back to the server quote. I will say on the server quote, I did mean to say that we are donating one of the servers to the new waste plant as their NVR, which cut about 30,000 off of their bill for their new equipment. So one of those servers will be repurposed for that reason.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I move that we approve the agreement with the Cox Communications for a 36-month term for internet and phone service and a 60-month term for dark fiber services as presented.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Neil.
14-1 GFT engineering agreement for preliminary engineering for Clyde South Backage Road. And Les is going to talk to us.
Mr. Mayor and Council, for your consideration tonight is that engineering agreement with GFT for the design of that backage road for approximately 1/8 of a mile from Allen Street near the Holiday Inn Express west to where the future Phase 2 East Kellogg Freeway project will pick up to close that gap, such that we would have essentially a backage road all the way from 159th Street to Andover Road for local traffic.
As part of Phase 1.
The Phase 1 project will build the backage road from 159th Street to Onewood.
Oh, I'm sorry, South Side.
Yes, on the south side, yes.
Okay, I'm tired.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I move to approve an engineering agreement with GFT Infrastructure, Inc. for preliminary engineering services for the Clyde South Backage Road project in the amount of $198,200.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. .9 Inc. Special Event Resolution July 18th, 2026, and Dana is going to talk to us about this. And he is in the house in case anybody has any questions on it. But Dana?
Yes, Bryce Turner is in the audience here to answer any questions. Point 9, Trailside Eatery is requesting council approval for its 1-year anniversary block party on Saturday, July 18th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. As part of that event, Point 9 is requesting authorization for a temporary extension of its licensed premise into a defined special event premises on city property, as shown on the map on your screen. Staff has already approved the related closure of a portion of Harrison Street and adjacent public parking areas for this event. Council's action tonight is specific to allowing the licensed premises to extend into the approved special event area for the duration of the event for the sale and consumption of alcoholic liquor and cereal malt beverages within the designated special event premises. This approval does not waive any legal requirements. Point 9 must remain in compliance with all applicable Kansas laws and local ordinances. The purpose of this request is to allow the business to operate in its anniversary celebration in a controlled and clearly defined event area. Staff is recommending approval for the requested presented item. And as we mentioned, Bryce Turner is available from Point 9 if you have any questions.
Any question for the gentleman?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I don't know if this is a Dana or Bryce question, but is it on the fencing or the barrier for this? Is this going to be like a metal fencing, or is this going to be just this area? Is it going to be marked off somehow, ribbon, whatever? The reason I asked that, Bryce, is just because it's so close to Andover Road.
Yes, so we'll be constructing our own, basically barriers that kind of look like sawhorses, like you'd see at a normal construction site, that'll block off Harrison Street right on Andover Road and just past the public parking spaces where our back alley is on the restaurant. So we'll have those blocked off. It'll be very clear that no one is to enter that space. So
We appreciate that.
Is that something, sorry, Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
is that something, Rick, that the street department,
I was going to say, to be clear, we will provide the barriers that will close the street. So they are meet the MUTCD and our legal requirements. So we will drop those off prior to your event. Any other barriers outside of what is actually closing the traveled way will be your responsibility.
Anyone else?
Can't believe it's been a year already. It's
I know.
crazy, isn't it?
that's exciting.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve the Point 9 Inc. special event on July 18th, 2026 from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and authorize the temporary extension of Point 9's licensed premises onto the special event premises, subject to compliance with all applicable state and local laws.
second?
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. Sorry you had to sit through
Thank you, guys.
that tonight, man.
It's all right. Have a good night.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Let's start member items to my left with Marla.
I really don't have anything this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I want to address something that happened before item 10.1, the bicentennial folks addressing the council and not answering all the questions necessarily. There were requests to provide timeline, dust control, visits from city council. I'll personally visit Bicentennial this week and review the situations. Some of the situations sound concerning, but I recognize there are other facts in place. To the extent possible that we could get follow-up from information that was received this week or last week regarding an attempted petition, that would be helpful to me if we can have that.
Say that again.
The attempted petition.
So it was more like tomatoes thrown in a public meeting in this very room. We never got to a point of circulating a petition. We had a meeting in this room and we expressed the cost to bring water lines as well as various options for paved roads. It was a passionate multi-hour meeting. I can search for the video because I would guess that might exist. I'm not positive about that. It was probably your city engineer was Steve Anderson at the time. So it was before the end of 2019. I'm thinking it's around 18 when we had that meeting. But I will look and see what I can find you. But it was clear feedback in that room that there would be no need to circulate a petition needing 51% or more signatures.
Now, I will say that was, Jenny, that was prior to our changing the policy though, correct? I mean,
That was on, but the water has not changed. I mean, the water, we didn't change a policy on water. And that was a sentiment on the water as well. There were street signs put up in yards that said no water.
And they were sitting in the audience tonight. So I'm gonna be clear about this. I'm irritated, man. Severely irritated.
Sorry.
All right. We have tried and tried. We do not control the freaking aquifer. That's the first thing. We don't approve things to use the aquifer. That's the second thing. All right. I went out to that neighborhood and one of the ladies doing the door-to-door nonsense walked up to, I seen her because that's what I drew. I drove every country road in this city last week. All right. Every one of them. And I'm telling you, I seen the lady by the time I got turned around and she was at this gentleman's door. I walked up and I said, ma'am, because they were looking at me funny. I was waiting for her to walk away from the gentleman's door. So I walked on up and I said, I'm Mayor Price. I'm here to address your concerns. I'm here for you. No, you're not. All right? All right? And she got at me again and the man says to her, you're being very combative. Right? So they've had so many opportunities to have help and they will not take it. Half the people water sucks and half the people water don't. And the city of Andover has no control over it. I let her get away with more tonight than I would have, but I was trying to be a gentleman. You know, they didn't have half their community on that piece of paper. They've had every opportunity to get water. They've had every opportunity to get their streets fixed. And them ladies had no rhyme or reason. When I tried to talk to her like an intelligent human being, well, it's our water. These folks down there have to alternate days they take showers. I have no sympathy for them. None. If you don't want to get half your neighbors, and it's hard to do because half of them are rentals, half of them are empty properties. I drove it. Try to be nice to the lady.
Sure.
And that's what I got. And the lady whispered to me tonight a profanity from the audience. I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. All right? None. If they want it, they can do it. She mentioned Lakeview Heights. They got 51%. Guess what? They got the roads fixed.
Certainly.
All right? So I'm tired of their nonsense.
I would just clarify for the record that Lakeview Heights utilized the policy that you referenced earlier tonight in which the homeowners did pay for 50% of that too. I just want that to be clear.
Correct. And she didn't have that in her little whereas information. It's there for them. Another thing is, if I hear one more person go after Rick Landsworth about the frickin' roads, I've got nothing but compliments from 90% of the people in that neighborhood, emails unprovoked, how much better the roads are than they were when the county had them. And if anybody don't believe me, drive down a county road. You know what I mean? So I will not let them go after our city staff. I will speak up. And I bit my tongue because I knew it was the right thing to do. But I can say anything I want now. Rick didn't ignore him. He didn't blow him off. He didn't blow me off. I told the lady, hey, by the way, I'm in your neighborhood. I don't live here. I'm out here to help you. I said, and she said, I'm not going to say what she said about my public work director, but I told her I'm having a meeting with him and that's why I'm out here. Right?
Sure.
So I'm the mayor that does, if somebody calls me, I go look. So I'm prepared for these moments. But in this particular moment, JT would have fell out of his chair if I'd have told her, ma'am, you're plumb out of your freaking mind. All right? I was trying to be a gentleman. Right? So I'm done for that stuff.
Mr. Mayor, I appreciate your willingness to walk the neighborhood and see. I think just to wrap up my member item, that I didn't mean to take this long. What I understand is any recent petitions or petitions in the past did not failed to meet the 51% threshold, and therefore are until we get that many people on board, we can't do anything about water and curbs and gutters and that sort of thing.
And what you received tonight, I think that your city clerk tried to kind of clarify an email, but I think it's worth the public hearing this too. You know, anyone can circulate a piece of paper and ask people to sign it, but state statute does not require you to do something that the public just says, I would like you to do this. There are certain thresholds that have to be met before you consider a public improvement. One of those would include a willingness to spend at least 5% of the cost. It would require professional engineering. Those things were missing. So this was viewed as a valid complaint or feedback, much like the emails that you received on the other topic tonight. So something you all can consider. You all can always break, change, redo policy and say, we suddenly pave roads at 100% cost of the city, but that has not been the policy direction that the governing body has provided your staff to date. And that has been based on a lot of things, including most probably centrally equity to the rest of your residents.
Just be totally clear on that 50%. Andover citizens, which I am one, are paying over 50% of the blacktop for Lakeview Heights. And I'm not thrilled about that at all. So I really don't want to pay 50% of theirs either, but what's right is right. But they don't want to get out and walk around and get 51% of the votes. So I didn't like that when we passed it anyway, but it passed unanimously. But that's what we do. We vote things out. I'm sorry, Jody, I got carried away. Do you have anything?
Nothing tonight, sir.
You have anything?
Jody, you good? I'm good. Just on that note, Mr. Mayor, too, on that, not application, petition. I believe I saw some redundancy in signatures as well. Can I get some clarification? It's one per household on that. And JT, is that a clarification for you or Dana?
A lawful petition under 12-6A01 that would authorize special assessments would only allow one per ownership, and it would have to be signed typically by both owners if it's jointly held property. So if we would prepare the petition to be circulated for an improvement that they would pay 50% of, yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Councilman Henry, it would be one per lot.
Okay. And then I on a brighter note, Buck already said, or sorry, Chief Buchanan already said something to you. Sometimes I feel like on the HR memos, there's always an opening on the police department. First time I've seen in a long time that there's no openings with the city. So I think that says a lot to staff, management, management, the longevity of the folks that we celebrated earlier tonight. Just all of you guys that manage the department, admin staff as well, Jenny, you as well, Rick, the street department. I mean, it's great to hear that we don't have any openings, right? That's awesome. Maybe because I deal with HR in my regular life, I know how hard that can be. When I gave kudos to Chas, she said it was all you guys as managers and staff in the city. So I just want to commend you on that. And that is awesome, I think, for us and what we've done as a council and help facilitate that with pay plans self-funding of the insurance. I think those all, play a part. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I want to close with this. There's about 30 people or more that are going to consider Councilman Gallagher courageous for doing what he did. What he truly did was break the oath that he held his hand up for, saying that he would protect all 16,000 citizens. So what he did was went against what he held his hand up for. He was not courageous. It was the wrong thing to do. We have a process in place, and y'all left already, but at the bottom of that piece of paper that I didn't read the sentence is if you are, I tore it up, I was so angry. Personally agree. So you can let your folks know about this, okay, as well. Where's that damn paper at? The last part of this was, and Mr. Gallagher did not give us an opportunity to do this because he broke his oath to this office, in my humble opinion. Persons aggrieved by the final decision of the council on this matter have 30 days after today's action within to which appeal to the district court. Right? So he is not courageous. He's not courageous. He broke his oath to office. He raised his hand to protect 16,000 people. All the time I say, we're not here for the best decision for 600 people. We're here for the best decision for 6,000 people. Councilman Gallagher robbed us of that opportunity. That's that, and that'd be that. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, before you adjourn, just to be helpful to everyone. So you have suspended the consideration of the zoning item. And so you will not want to have any discussions about that with anyone or with each other until it comes before you again. You can continue to listen and absorb information. I don't want somebody to challenge the decision based on discussions that you would have. So you, first of all, your professionalism up to this point, I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased the motion focuses on factors and findings. Thank you. And just remember that this neutrality, this concept of looking at those factors and findings as a judge might do it is going to continue to be important. And I just wanted to provide that. It's not an admonishment. It's sort of a just keep doing what you're doing.
JT, is there a possibility that we could maybe get that in writing sent to everyone so everybody knows that we probably shouldn't continue that conversation?
If somebody's having conversations about the use of this property or articulating opinions, that would be a disqualifying factor. I will tell you, I'm a little bit concerned about that because it's going to come back, and I don't know who all will be here when it comes back. So we're going to have to do a little fact finding among staff now because we could have a full contingency when it comes back. So we'll consider that, focus on it, and think about it as a staff.
One of the emails said the city council members were at the ribbon cutting. There were no city council members at that ribbon cutting. We're not that stupid. We're not going to show up to something that we have not approved. All right. So that's another thing you can tell the group of people in here. I'm not angry at them. They have every right to be here, and we give them every blessing we could. All right.
They also
But
didn't have cookies either.
They didn't have cookies.
That's what I was told.
So we're supposed to have cookies?
Well, at the ribbon cutting.
Oh, really? So.
Sorry, we need a little legitimacy.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm sorry. I thought you gave me a cookie now. Where's the cookies at? All right. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I just want to thank Michael too for staying through all that. I know he's with engineering, but and then Bryce stayed through the whole thing as well. Tom, I don't know why you're punishing yourself by staying, but we appreciate that.
Put you in the spot.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Yes.
Yes.
All
Dana. Yeah, I would. Certainly not.